our most successful Olympic Games ever. Officially, we join you live from the last evening of Paris 2024. We currently have the Opals bronze medal game on in the background. Aussies sit on 18 gold. We'll probably finish on 18 gold. Will we finish third? Will we finish fourth? The night is young. NRL and AFL, they've still been going on. Some pretty high-scoring games in round 23 in the league, and she's a tight old comp in the AFL. Who knows what is going on? A few big old Melbourne clubs have been struggling of late. One's flying high, the mighty Hawks. NFL preseason is underway. We'll have a quick look at the NFL before we get stuck in the next pod into fantasy and hyping up one of our favourite sports. Plus a huge final round with UFC 305 in Perth next week. We'll preview the card and general dribble. This is On The Esky. It's a sports podcast. We like our Aussie sports. We like our US sports. And currently, we like our French sports, or sports that are happening in France, I should say. C'est la vie. We do have timestamps on the YouTube. You can skip the sports that you like. We'll be starting off with that big Olympics hour, I suppose, in a Special Olympics ep. We do have socials in Instagram, and you can subscribe on YouTube. We like to shout a beer to start the show. I'm going to sneak a little bit of cricket in here, Shauno.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's hasn't been a lot of cricket post the World Cup. It's been pretty quiet, but there was at least one series going on, and that was Sri Lanka were taking on India in a one-day international series, and Sri Lanka actually won the series. For the first time also since 1997. And you might think, post the World Cup, maybe it was an unders side for India. They didn't take full strength. No, pretty much as you'd expect. Maybe missing Bumrah is probably the main name not on the list. But yeah, the last game they got hammered by, I think, about 100 runs, and they left about 24 overs on the table. So, yeah, I think Sri Lanka, good on them. They've obviously got India after the World Cup hangover, as you will, and have corrected some history there and got a win in 20, what's the quick math on that, 7 years?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's pretty impressive for them. So they were going to be my shout out beer.
Got the India squad list up there. Rohit Sharma played, Virat Kohli played, Pant played, Shreyas Iyer, Akshay Patel, to name a few. Mo Siraj in there. Bumrah really the only noticeable bloke out. I think Avishka Fernando scored a few runs in the most recent one. So shout out to the Sri Lankans. We've seen in recent times a real thinning out or a real tiered system of cricket with the proverbial big three.
Yep.
The Aussies, the Poms, and the Indians kind of dominating with a little bit of sprinkling of our Kiwi brothers in there. And then, some old powerful nations in Sri Lanka and Pakistan to a lesser extent, but certainly the West Indies dropping off. So good to see little brother beating big brother there.
Definitely. What about you, Babby?
I'm going to go Olympics theme. Miwan Lopez, 5th gold medal. That's 5 straight. And he's in the sport of Greco-Roman wrestling, so it's not like, swimming or athletics where you can be winning multiple per games. He only has his weight division, and he's gone back to back to back to back to back, maybe.
Yeah.
He's 41 years of age. He turns 42 this month. He's a big boy, 6'5", 131 kilos, and he's essentially dominated the 130 plus weight class in the Olympics, and that's going all the way back to Beijing. He's actually been to 6 Olympics.
Yeah, so, I was just reading that too.
He went to Athens, but he placed 5th. What a loser. Don't eat me, Miwan, don't eat me. And then since then, has gone gold in Beijing, London, Rio, Tokyo, Paris. And in terms of the scoring, these has been the scores through his bouts. 24-3, 14 zip, 16 zip, 24 zip. So 3 Olympics in a row.
Dropping any?
Didn't even drop a point. And 20-2 was his scoring in this one. He did leave I think they left his shoes in there.
Yeah, they take the shoes off.
Yeah, we watch UFC. They often leave the gloves in there. He left the old wrestling boots in there. He's done at the Olympics as one would expect for a bloke about to turn 42. So enjoy a few cervezas courtesy of the Esky Miwan on the GOAT career in super heavyweight Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yep.
Mop of the week. We got an intro. Hang on. Don't know how this is going to work with copyright laws and whatnot.
Yeah, we hate to do it because for an Aussie lady, but we have to just because I think the amount of roasting and social media generation and the amount of content that was out there across international waters. Poor Rachel Gunn.
Otherwise, it'd be Ray Dunn.
Yeah, true.
But we're not sticking the boot in here. We just want to talk about it. I think one could argue that she's going to become a national treasure.
Yeah, put a heart and soul into it, and unfortunately, she got a 0 for it. But
what the fuck's going on with the judges? Like, I was talking about this with you guys pre-show.
That's the participation points.
I swear, if they do a big belly flop in the diving, or they do like a kick flip and then stack in like the skateboarding, you still get like 6 out of 100. Yep. Like to give them a 0, she still showed up and danced. Like, can we get like a 1.5 or something?
Exactly.
Like
we're not after pity like 8s or anything like that. Just at least something.
Like, we're being realistic here. We're being realistic, but just fat donuts. My goodness, poor Ray Gunn. So anyway, she's pretty much broken the internet. Yep. June had Hock Tour, and then the Turkish shooter we'll get to in a second. He was the first week of memeing.
Yes.
And now I've got Ray Gunn just in every meme format in my newsfeed over the last 48 hours.
Oh, it just blew up. Just absolutely blew up. Everyone's just taking the absolute piss out of it, unfortunately, but...
Not everyone. Not everyone. Anna Mears got in there, the chef de mission, to support poor Ray Gunn after, what she was calling online trolls and bullies and keyboard warriors and everyone getting stuck in. Albo also coming to her defence, saying that she was there representing her country, something that me and you will never do at this sort of level. And she took her opportunity, and breaking obviously not going to be in the 2028 Olympics, maybe the only time that we get to see Ray Gunn. And look, everyone's going to remember this part of the Olympics, because we're not just talking about blowing up in Australia. This thing's gone
international,
proper
international.
viral, proper viral.
Which maybe taken away a little bit from the massive success the games has been for Australia. Hopefully people will remember the 18 gold medals over Ray Gunn's performance in this.
We can remember both.
Yeah, we remember both. Remember the Olympics for what it was.
With fond memories of both.
Yeah, well, let's hope she carries a flag out for 2032 in Brisbane.
Bringing it back.
Bring it back. Put her in the opening ceremony at least. Something like that would be a good callback, as it will.
She couldn't be worse than Blue Dionysus opening these games. Tell you what,
True.
The Blue Smurf.
True that. But I guess throw out Jay Attack, who was the Australian men's representative, actually did fairly well as well, represented in there. Didn't get medal or anything like that, but it was a little bit of a better showing and better received internationally than poor Ray Gunn was.
It's funny as well because she does have a PhD in cultural studies. We found the thesis name here. Hopefully I get the word out. Deterritorialising Gender in Sydney's Breakdancing Scene, a B-Girl's Experience of B-Boying, 2017, Ray Gunn. I think she's a national treasure and... Next time I've had a few bevies and I'm on the dance floor, Ray Gunn's going to inspire me to just be myself.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
And because we don't have, themed music for Olympics, I'm going to keep it rolling. Hopefully don't get sued here. All right.
Some Olympics chat.
Let's wrap up the games that were the most successful games ever from a gold medal perspective for the Australian team. Day one, it kicked off after that interesting opening ceremony with Grace Brown winning our first gold in Paris 2024 in the women's time trial cycling. A little bit of a quieter Olympics in terms of cycling. Did get one in the BMX, which we'll get to in a second. But Grace Brown got herself to a flying start. And then the girls and the pool were just synonymous with victory. Ariane Titmus, she beat out 17-year-old Summer McIntosh and Katie Ledecky in the 400 metres free. And then the Dynasty, the 4x100, that's 4 in a row. The girls looking very, very good there. France won the men's rugby sevens. The Aussies...
Missed out.
Fourth, a little unlucky in the semi. They were like $3.50 to beat Argentina in that pool game and got through them, and just couldn't quite snag a medal. But definitely a good performance there from the sevens. Day 2, we saw Jess Fox winning gold in the K1. She'd won bronze in this event in Tokyo. Thoughts around Jess Fox?
Well, the Foxes, we'll get into them. It's her I guess return and getting the gold that she's been hunting for. I think was impressive. So
it's incredible in canoe kayak obviously with the two oars and then canoeing with one, and how difficult it is just period.
Yeah.
And then her sister goes out in this is a few days later, but we'll cover it now. What's a new event at the Olympics, the canoe cross. So anyone that's seen a bit of the Winter Olympics, you see the snowboard cross, ski cross, very similar sort of principle. 4 people, they literally drop down into the water, hit it, and then go down the course, and then it's a race down to the bottom, and Naomi becomes a gold medal winner herself, which means all the Fox girls, because Mum won a bronze, I think, back at Atlanta. So it's just poor dad. Poor dad. But I think he was pretty thrilled to have both these girls be gold medalists, and some nice moments there in the white water as well, with Jess jumping in the water and embracing her sister too. That will definitely go down as one of the more memorable both. All 3 moments, I suppose. The Fox sisters taking home 3 golds from this one.
Yep.
But not to be outdone by a little French man. He's not that little, but he took the world by storm. Léon Marchand. It was day 2 that he won the 400 IM. That was the first of 4 gold for him during the games. We'll cover the rest of his as we get through it. Day 3, Molly O'Callaghan. A little bit of an upset, but Australia goes 1-2 in the 200 metres freestyle. She breaks the Olympic record and beats teammate Ariane Titmus for gold. Australia goes 1-2. Molly O'Callaghan's 20. And would she take away 3 gold medals from this one? I'll double check that. I think it was 3.
Yeah.
Summer McIntosh as well. She took 3 golds. So she won the 400 IM. She won the 200 fly and the 200 IM. She's aged 17. So going absolutely gangbusters. And you'd think is probably only going to get better as she's 21 going into LA.
Yeah. The girls in the pool are going to excel going forward.
She's going to be their main competitor, I suppose, for some of the girls in terms of the 400 frees. Ledecky's starting to get a little bit older. We'll get to her in just a second. We alluded to him before, but Yusuf Dikic, I think that's how you say it. He became the meme of week 1, just going raw dog, hand in the pocket.
Just with the glasses on.
I got one hand in my pocket. The other one's winning a silver medal. There's the pictures of him also competing previously with before he needed glasses as well. So completely raw dog, as you will. Pretty impressive compared to everyone else with all the scopes and all the optical supports. 360 no-scopes, bruh. So for anyone that hasn't seen it, get out from under the rock that you've been living under the last 10 days. Yeah, so most of these 10-metre air pistol people have got one like sort of shutout lens, and then one that sort of like blurs and contrasts and shit. And they're wearing headphones. And old raw dog Dikic, as they call him in Turkey, is just in there, just one hand on the trigger, one hand in his pocket, and
it obviously works for him. That's the position he feels most balanced and relaxed in, and
unreal.
And off he goes.
And then it's absolutely sparked a trend of people hitting the celly all around the world. We saw it on the track, we saw it in the basketball, and then this round in the footy in both codes. Yeah, lots of people hitting them with the Dikic. Might be this year's gritty.
Yeah. It's slightly nicer than, say, what Ja Morant was doing in the NBA season. So, as a similar celly but different context.
Thoughts go out to Ja. New Zealand wins the women's rugby sevens. Aussies, again, a little unlucky in the match against Canada to lose quite late, and then lost the bronze medal match as well. So both Aussies sevens teams coming away without any medals, but both performing really well to get it that far. Kaylee McEwen, she wins the 100 back. She won 2 gold medals here to back up both her gold medals from Tokyo. So incumbent now for 100 and 200 back, and a little bit of relay success for her too. Day 5, that's when Jess Fox got a second one in the C1, and then Leon Marchand, we mentioned him before. So he wins a 200 fly, and then an hour later goes out and wins a 200 breaststroke. So the event schedule probably didn't play out as perfectly as he would have liked, and considering that he's out there swimming 2 different strokes, it's an incredible feat, and really got the home crowd fired up. Massive stadium there too for the swimming. You see it was an old sort of football stadium that's been converted into an aquatic centre, and it was heaving. Especially when Marchand was taking breaths, you just hear him all just synchronised, cheering him on. Day 6, the Aussie girls win the 4x200 freestyle gold in an Olympic record. They were unbackable in this, given that they had the gold medalist and the silver medalist. Yeah. But also shout out to Lani Pallister and Brianna Throssell in the final. There was a few other swimmers in the heats too. They pretty much had to get in the water and make sure that there was no disqualify. Don't get in the water too early, as we saw in some world champs before. Just don't fuck it up, a la USA relay team. Day 7, we get triple gold. Not the best day of the Olympics, but incredible one. Triple gold with Saya Sakakibara winning gold in the women's BMX. Big boy Cam McAvoy wins the 50 metres freestyle, the fastest man in the world. Only male to win a gold in the pool. So really had to go off the back of our girls. And it was day 7 that Kaylee McEwen won that 200 back. So triple gold on day 7. Day 8, we saw the athletics kick off. And lots of sort of talk around Sha'Carri Richardson after missing out in Tokyo for smoking weed in a state where weed is legal, but I suppose rules are rules. But Julian Alfred actually goes out and beats her in a time of 10.727 seconds. Sorry, 10.72 seconds. So that's the first ever medal of any colour for St. Lucia, and she also
Richardson finished second in that by a tenth behind.
Richardson second in that one, Bees Dick, and I don't think I've got it in the notes, but Richardson anchored the US 4x100 and come home strong to win gold there. Staying on, US superstars, they don't get much bigger or smaller than Simone Biles. She won 3 gold medals. This day was her third, where she won the vault. She'd already won the individual all round and the USA team. And she also got a silver in the floor the next day. That was when they had the all-black podium. I think the first time that's ever happened in gymnastics history. Copped a little bit of slack. The Brazilian Andrade won the gold medal, and they did a little bow down to her kind of thing. Just, a little bit of fun, showing a bit of respect, and people were like, no, she's a competitor. You shouldn't be doing that, yada, yada, yada. I think Simone Biles can do whatever the fuck she wants.
Pretty much, yeah.
Apparently the Netflix doco is really good. Haven't seen.
Neither.
It goes into, so the mental yips and everything that went on in years gone by. And, look, she's going to go down as one of, if not the greatest gymnast of all time.
Oh, definitely.
Cool to see. And then another sort of goat, unfortunately another American, but kudos to her, Katie Ledecky. She did beat out Ariane Titmus in the 800. So she'll be 31 when LA rolls around. Pretty amazing how accomplished she already is. In my head, she was already in her 30s. But she's only 27. I think I was hearing Kate Campbell say that for distance swimmers, it's really hard later in your career. That's why they peak so young because of the wear and tear, particularly on your shoulders. Whereas the sprinters, because it's more powerful, can sort of develop a little bit later. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure Ledecky's going to want to be there, Olympics, LA. And look, I'm not going to question her. If she's 31, I'm sure she'll still be out there, being very, very good at what she does.
I agree.
Matthew Ebden and John Peers won the doubles in the tennis. I think that was the first gold for Aussies in the tennis since the years of the Woodies.
I saw when I saw Rafa and Carlos were together on clay, I was like, who's going to beat them?
Fuck? Yeah, incredible.
But I guess the professional doubles guys came to town, and it was good to see the Aussies in this regard actually get the medal here.
Yeah, so good. Incredible that Nadal and Alcaraz teamed up on clay.
Just
like get it done. I suppose singles play as well. Maybe a bit of fatigue plays into it, but they are different sports really as well. Aren't they?
Exactly.
It's a different game.
Yeah, and chemistry plays a large part in it as well, and I guess the strategy too, and scoring points. So,
superstar team beats a team of superstars. Mm-hmm. Day 9, Noah Lyles wins the big one, the blue ribbon event, the 100 meters. This
talk
one
about bees dicks.
Oh, crazy, man, crazy. So to the 100th of a second, that you can't split them. All right. So him and Kashane Thompson, the Jamaican, they go down to 1,000th of a second.
Yep.
So if this was a swimming race, they would have shared it. They'll only go to 100th. Whereas in sprint racing, they'll go down to 1,000th. So Noah Lyles run 9.784, beats out Kashane Thompson 9.789. So 5 1,000ths of a second. It's also the closest the field has ever been in the Olympics. So first place Lyles 9.79. Bloke that run last at a very, very sluggish 9.91, 0.2 of a second, separating 1 and 8.
The Italian bloke that won at last,
Jacobs, he come fifth.
Yeah.
Interesting as well, we're talking about Bolt and how much further ahead he would have been.
Yeah.
Probably a good 3 meters if he'd run his
world record speed,
which he did at the Olympics.
Yes.
And often, I think all of his Olympics actually would have won.
Yes, correct.
Would have won this race.
Yeah.
One would have been very close when he ran the 9.71.
Yeah. Where he slowed down with 10 to go.
Well, yeah,
maybe
he might have had to actually run it out. So interesting. He's going to be a tough athlete to replace. Or we may not see someone quicker in the near future.
Yeah. Well, there hasn't been like any, because Bolt retired 10 years ago, and there hasn't been any. No, I wouldn't say significant, but there hasn't been any improvement on that time. If anything, like you said, it was closer field, but no one's really breaking the 7-second barrier. Well, the 9.7 second barrier is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's at the enhanced game.
Right? True. But with that 10 years worth of sports science, the amount of stuff that's changed since 2014, you think about it, it's like there hasn't been any competition to that figure.
What about Florence Griffith-Joyner? She probably says hi at 10.49 in the girls. That's 1988 time.
Yep. Yeah, and same thing. That's 0.3 quicker than what they ran in the finals. So
incredible.
Yeah, it's just I guess the once in a generation, once in a lifetime, even athletes like Usain Bolt was just ridiculously tall guy with a long stride, who had ridiculous leg speed.
He didn't look like a sprinter. Like no one else actually has that build.
Yeah, no one else does. Not even close. He's just that once-in-a-generation dude that had amazing leg speed at that size. And for everyone's 2 steps, he's taken 1. And he's just running away with it.
So 9.79 is still nothing to sneeze at, which is what he ran. But I'm looking here. All time, there has been 22, 20, like 25-ish faster races, of which Bolt has heaps, like 7, 8 times has run quicker.
In there,
Safa Powell has actually, got to give him credit too.
So where the world record was set at the World Championships in Berlin, I think it was 2012, Safa Powell, Gay, and Bolt. Like, I think Bolt had to run a 9.58 to win that because it was a very competitive race.
Berlin, 09 it was.
09, actually.
09, yeah. So 9.58, no one's really gone within Kui. Did have a little bit of wind assistance, but they can have up to 2 meters. So when he ran his 9.58, he had 0.9. So actually not heaps of wind assistance. In terms of what's legal. What's also crazy to think that 4x100 Jamaican team that ran the 36.8 or whatever it was featured Usain Bolt, the fastest man of all time. Yep. Johan Blake, the third fastest man of all time.
With an extra bit of juice occasionally. So
possibly, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And
Asaf Appel, the fourth fastest man of all time in one team. Incredible.
Yep. Well, I think, did I add the note there? Yeah, it was the first 100-metre goal for the US team in 20 years as well. Yeah, for that dominance Bolt for the Jamaicans. Like, if it wasn't Bolt, they were very competitive. So.
Another American who is doing really, really, really well in his sport, Scotty Chef. Mm-hmm. What a different sport. It's a sport that I quite like following.
Is golf hanging around?
Yep. I think it's coming to LA and then presumably...
Back to Brisbane,
Royal Queensland. Mm-hmm. Let's go. He was nowhere near it come the final round. Goes out and shoots 9 under 62 to win
number one for a reason.
Oh, the bloke is incredible. I think he's had 6 wins on the PGA this year. I think the next closest is 2 plus a major plus an Olympic gold medal.
Yep.
Blokes. Oh, and he had a kid.
Yep.
And got arrested one time.
Yeah. He's just avoid the county police and you'll be good. Sweet.
He's having a good year, old Scotty Chef.
What's also wild to think about is I think he's got to be number one for like 4 or 5 more years to even get remotely close to what Tiger Woods did.
In terms of length of being number one? Yeah. He's got more work to do in majors than that.
That too.
And that's it's just really testament to how good Tiger Woods was at golf. The fact that Scotty's been so dominant over the last 2.5 years and we're like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. And then you think, oh yeah, that's what Tiger did for,
a decade.
Yeah, from about 97 to about 2010. But yeah, this isn't about Tiger. This is about Scotty, and he is hands down the best golfer in the world at the moment. Mm-hmm. Speaking of hands down best, the Joker,
Brandon the Joker, yep.
Novak Djokovic beats someone who probably will be the hands down best tennis player in years to come, beating Carlos Alcaraz at Roland Garros, where Alcaraz has already found some early career success. Didn't see a lot of tennis, I think.
No, neither.
You had to go looking for it. Yeah. So Channel 9, obviously very Australia-centric. Yes. Unfortunately, other than our legends in the doubles, in the singles, everyone got pretty handedly taken care of early on. So perhaps that's why not a whole lot of tennis on Channel 9.
Was that Joker's first medal? I know it was definitely his first gold, but was his first medal in the Olympics?
Let's have a look.
Because he was talking about like he'd done everything else. It's like, I've now ticked it off. I've got the Olympic medal on my resume. And also benefit there was a gold. I'm 100% sure it's his first gold. He won the bronze way back in Beijing in 2008. Yeah, so there you go. What's he doing to the panels? He's collecting it all. Yeah, but adding to that GOAT status / resume, having a gold medal is definitely worth adding to it.
He'll be 41 come LA, so you'd think had to do it this Olympics. Mm-hmm. And Novak goes out and adds another one to his pretty illustrious trophy cabinet as it is.
He's getting actually up there as well at 37. So
yeah,
there's definitely a big change
in the guard.
Rafa and Federer and Murray, of course, now as well. The big four, Joker.
He's got 2 gold medals in the Olympics. That was where Andy.
He could win a tournament.
Let's go. That's what he saved his energy for. Day 10. This is
maybe that's what Harry Kane needs to do.
Well, great. No team, Great Britain. No Socceroos in the soccer. So again, speaking of Australia centric, the Matildas bowed out. I saw very little soccer in this. I did see the US won the ladies against Brazil, and Spain actually beat France 5-3. I think in the men's, but I've seen Dick all of it.
Yeah.
Mondo Duplantis, this is a good story. He represents Sweden. He's born and raised in the States, so there's a little bit of love-hate there over in the US. He wins the pole vault, and he's essentially hands down the best pole vaulter at the moment.
Well, he's got the world record to back it up.
Well, the world record is interesting because he just keeps breaking. He knows he can go high, and so he just keeps breaking it by 1 centimetre. And I think he's under some sponsorship deal that each time he gets it, he gets a big bag of money as well.
Oh, okay, so he's keeping it with him. Right. So he's not got another 20 centimetres in me.
Can you take me higher? He can, and he will at some stage.
Yeah, I think he gets that point where he knows he's got the tournament wrapped up, and he's like, all right, I'll go for that record, and I'll I'll add a digit to it. So
1 centimetre at a time, baby.
yeah. Well, unlike was it the Italian bloke that he's had too much dong and then knocked. He hit.
I think he was French.
It was a French bloke. Yeah, okay.
The Italians will claim him.
Yeah, I just remembered he was wearing blue. I just couldn't remember if it said Italia or France on it. But yeah, too much dong and it landed on the.
I did see
the
this
beam.
just scrolling through, and I don't know. It's do your own research. You know, it's 2024. Apparently, some adult entertainment firm has offered him quarter a milli to be their male talent.
That's funny. That's funny.
You could his shit writes itself.
Yeah,
You know, he rocks up. Anyways,
I've definitely seen it happen before in other tournaments with the pole voters.
I thought you were going to say
in
other videos that I've watched.
Yeah, plenty of videos, plenty of research happening at home. That's why I can't go pro. I've got too many wrist injuries.
Oh, God. Completed it, bro. Jesus. What were we talking about?
Pole vaulters and wangs hitting poles.
pole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not a first, but yeah, I think for him was on the Olympic stage was a bit unfortunate.
If we're also getting all of our smut out at once.
Okay.
I think there was Chinese divers, and one was called Long and one was called Wang. All right, Chinese divers Wang Zhongwan and Long Daiyu. I'm sure I've said both of those correctly. They took the gold. They're the best in the 3-meter springboard synchronized diving. Interesting how they've said here China's Wang and Long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. Surfing in Tahiti, so the other side of the world, French Polynesia.
Did I see that they did the medal presentation and then actually flew those guys back to France and had them surf behind a boat on the centre? On the river, I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Possibly. I haven't seen said thing, but it was day 10, so they could have already flown them back. But interesting story. It was a Tahitian Corley Vast, I think, that won the surfing ahead of Aussies Jack Robinson getting the silver, and then arguably the best surfer in the world at the moment, Brazilian Gabriel Medina winning the bronze. You see the photo of him launching. Yep. He's so far up in the air. It looks like a good little Photoshop edit, but it is a real photo.
Looks like he's floating there, and he's
That's pretty sick. Yep. Day 11. This is also pretty sick. A girl born in 2010, 14-year-old Arissa True wins the Women's Park skateboarding. She will be
dominated the skateboarding.
Yeah, gold in the girls and gold. Keegan, we'll get to in just a second. She'll be a ancient 22 years of age when Brisbane rolls around. So she can do it at 14. Geez, sky's the limit. First girl to land a 900. She didn't have to do it here, but she has landed it before. It's incredible that when we were sort of growing up and everyone was, playing Tony Hawk.
Well, Tony Hawk was trying to do it. So.
Yeah, he did it early 90s is when he did it. And now, talk about evolution of sports science, and some sports are just
leaps and bounds better.
Leaps and bounds, 100%. So, who would have thought when we were young that 14-year-old girls would be busting out 900s? And shout out to her. She's like, her interview was pretty cute. They're like, what do you want? If you just won a gold medal. She wants a pet duck.
And
she's like,
Mum and Dad said I could get a duck if I can win the medal.
And she's going back to school when she's in year 9 or whatever. Oh, man. What were you doing in year 9?
Fuck all.
Starting that wrist injury.
Actually, I think I broke an ankle in year 9.
I remember that,
for footy.
I remember that. You were out for a while. Mate, would have gone pro. Injuries.
They held me back.
All right, day 12, literally the best day ever for Aussies at any Olympics. 4 gold medals. This, I don't think is in the correct order, but anyways, this is the order that I wrote it down. Nina Kennedy, pole vault.
Yep.
First Aussie women
athletics medal
ever. No, yeah.
For pole vaulting, yes.
No, first in the field ever.
First in the field,
ever. So we've won. Plenty of girls have won in the track. Sally Pearson, Kathy Freeman. Go back to Betty Cuthbert, and the like. But first time ever that an Aussie woman has won any field event. Yeah, so shout out to Nina. She was pretty fired up. The Aussies won gold in the cycling in the men's team pursuit. That was Oliver Bledden, Connor Lay, Kelland O'Brien and Sam Welsford. Shout out to them. A few people making comments about the front bums on the photo. I think that's cycling expert here.
Yeah.
I think that's for the seat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not rocking for camel toes. I think it's the way that the suit is designed. But yeah, they won gold there. Matthew Wern in the ILC A7. Couldn't tell you what the fuck that is, but it's some kind of sailing boat.
Yep.
And then another skateboarding gold for young Keegan Palmer, who defended his park title from Tokyo. So 4 gold, absolute gold rush. Best country in the world. Don't at us for sure. Day 13. This is interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, actually, when I saw who won, and considering who won it last time and finished second, as I think it was the only gold India got at the last Olympics from memory.
Might have to look up this one if they're on the board. I feel like they might have won a shooting or something.
I think they won a gold very early in the tournament.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, you can chase a medal tally.
We are talking about the javelin, the men's javelin. So Niraj Chopra was the defending champ from Tokyo, Indian fella, and then this guy Arshad Nadeem from Pakistan. For any nation to beat.
To beat India, that's something.
Oh, mate, there's a storyline in here.
Yeah, part of me felt like he watched the last Olympics. So then he go, "When I was like, I'm getting off the couch.
Must kill him."
Yes, I must beat him. but they were very sportsmen. They took photos with each other afterwards. Like we're talking shit here, but the off side of it was it was a very competitive event, and they went back and forth, and he threw a ridiculous
90 meters,
90 something, and 92 kind of meters. I think he won by about 4 meters over Chopra in this, but I can't remember if it was an Olympic record. It wasn't a world record, but it was a very good throw in the javelin.
I should be able to find this relatively quick sticks. I did just look up the medal tally. India no gold at the moment. They have 1 silver, 5 bronze. So going well from a total medals perspective.
Olympic record.
Just not many gold. 92.97 is what he threw, Arshad Nadeem. The world record is a crazy 98.48 metres. Jan Zelezny, who I believe he was coaching the Japanese chick that won the javelin for the girls. I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, no one else threw over 90.
Yeah,
very impressive.
He went real far. Yeah, so he won by 3 meters, I think. 92.97 to 80. Yeah, so 3.5 meters he won by. Incredible. What else we got? Oh, Sydney McLaughlin. She's a freak. So defends her 400-meter hurdles gold from Tokyo. She ran a world record in the 400 hurdles here at Paris, and her time would have qualified for the 400-meter final flat. So she wouldn't have won it, but she would have made the final with jumping over 10 hurdles. It's incredible. She's one of the best athletes on the planet right now. Sydney McLaughlin, or married name now, Sydney McLaughlin Levrone. Another goat, and it's our little brothers across the Dutch, Lisa Carrington. Shouldn't call her little. She is one jacked human being, that is for sure. She won 3 gold here in Paris to add to her pretty illustrious medal cabinet as it is. I'm going to look it up. I think she's 7, maybe 8 total for her career. But she won the K1, so by herself, K2 with 2 in the boat, and K4 all with New Zealand in the paddling, and that was all within 2 days as well. So, heats, semis, finals. It was a stacked schedule for her, and she did not disappoint, that is for sure. So she won 3 gold medals back in Tokyo. She's got a gold and a bronze from Rio and a gold from London. Her career tally, 8 gold, 0 silver, 1 bronze. She is 35 years of age. I imagine she'll be leaving an oar in the water. But who knows? She's still definitely top of her game. And, absolutely killing things. Oh, she's a dame as well. Dame Lisa Carrington. Shout out to you. Incredible effort. Maybe kind of want to go buy a kayak, because every single person that you see walking out of those things is absolutely yoked.
Yeah.
Day 14 was also where we saw big girl Ray Gunn breaking the internet. alluded to at the top of the show. I think national treasure. Day 15, I think that's where we're up to now. So women's marathon went ahead. Hassan from Netherlands won that. Opal's currently playing Belgium for a bronze medal. There's not much in this, so we'll keep an eye on this.
Back and forth a fair bit.
As it plays
I
out.
think the Aussies are back to maybe 2 points in front, 2 or 4.
We might
very close. It's a bucket in it, really.
Might
No,
55
time
apiece, so this is going to go down to it. We might just use this to talk about the team sports. Probably the one that we were most interested in following was the Boomers. Got off to an unreal start, beating Spain 92-80. Jock Landale was really good. Josh Giddey, good in that. Unfortunately, losing to Canada 93-83. They went with them until about halfway through the third quarter.
And then
that Canadian team, who themselves kind of fizzled out in the quarters, were too good for us. So we thought it was going to be a must-win against Greece. We go down 77-71, but because 3 can qualify just on points difference, we make it through. And then one of the all-time bottling jobs against Serbia, going out against the best player in the world and his Serbian teammates. We had a lead of 24.
Oh, yeah.
24. And
threw it away.
Yeah.
Also credit. I think Joker played really well.
He's good. Bogdanovic.
He's the best player in the world. So
his supporting cast were good. It wasn't all just him, but it's a tough pill to swallow. Having a lead that big. It was a mad finish to the game. Like Paddy Mills hitting that 3, falling away over Joker to take it to overtime. And then it was really just a few fast turnovers that really killed us. And you don't get much time. It's like it's such different basketball to NBA basketball. In that the shorter time period of it, for one, the less timeouts, the more sort of physical
defense.
Defense. You have less chance to make errors. Yeah, and actually, it's what we saw the Opals that we're watching right now. It's what killed them in their group stage losses in the loss to Nigeria and getting towed up by America. Is just the turnovers just kill you in FIBA basketball. But so by the end of it, Brian Gorjan, he has quit. He has been the coach for forever. A long time. I'm actually going to look that up. It must be a good 12 years, maybe.
Because I do remember when he coached the Kings.
But he does both. I swear.
But he left. He's bounced around a bit, and he's come back to the Kings now recently.
Let's have a look. I'll just go Australia Boomers head coach. Or maybe he's had separate stints.
Yeah, maybe that's why we think he's been there for so long.
I swear he's been there for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Australian men's basketball team.
Announced that was 2013, I think. I saw it mentioned.
Head coach position, here we go. 2021. Yeah, okay. So this is where it is 2, So that's why I was thinking it's been forever. So 2001 to 2008, and then we actually went through.
Brown had twice.
Yeah, Brett Brown and Andre Leminis, and then Gorjan come back for 21 to present. So he's had like a 4-year stint, and he previously had like an 8-year stint as well. So that's why it feels like so long. But yeah, two separate stints. Little disappointing, but obviously showed that we can mix it with the best in the world.
Yeah, and I guess it was probably a little bit disappointing compared to Tokyo because we probably had that better talent overall, more NBA talent, as you will, in the team versus what we had in Tokyo.
I think we've got more NBA players as a percentage now, but in terms of primes, like Ingles out of prime, Mills out of prime.
Well, I think that's
Delhi
the thing.
well out of prime.
Yeah, we've got guys that are well out of prime, but then all the young fellas coming in are also very young, like Giddy Green.
That's where I'm excited, man.
Yeah, so,
Dyson Daniels, like Jock Landale's not that old. Exum's had this resurgence in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think they can hold their heads up high. Obviously, they would have wanted to go further than the quarters. And they've shown that they can match it with the best teams in the world. It's just going to be about getting 4-quarter performance.
Yeah, and if you follow on from Serbia, they did get the bronze medal in this, and they seemed very happy with the fact that they get a medal.
They were leading America. It was really a Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I think you said bronze. They got the Sorry, they got the bronze medal after leading America, and then France gets a silver this morning, and it was Steph that ruined both of those teams essentially, with France being very close and then Steph just going bang bang bang. I think he had
that picture of
eight threes this morning. Saying none night too.
The picture of him throwing it over Wembley and just the freak. It was like, how does he get the right loft and get over that wingspan to even get it remotely close to the
that fourth quarter this morning against France was like, it was like video game kind of stuff. Like he did get a few wide open, but there was just like ones, like you said, like over Wembley, where you're just like, how, and so clutch. Who was roasting him, saying that he just rocked up in the last 3 days? I don't think it was Tatum. It was one of the boys. Yeah. See Tyrese Halliburton as well.
Getting an A on the group project, you did nothing.
We're talking about it in our text. Half of those teams, he's the best player on the team that made it to the Olympics. Unfortunately,
Tatum didn't play a lot either as well. So I think they let the old boys take it since it's most likely their last.
Swan song for LeBron, for KD, for Steph. It was cool to see them all play together.
And I have seen the jokes that now that Steph and LeBron will go back to their mediocre teams in the NBA and fight for the play-in. So let's hope that's not how their careers are remembered and end. I'm sure mediocre basketball at the back end.
I'm sure no one will remember LeBron's career for that. And I think a lot of people are super excited to see what he can do playing with his son. Like, all the nepotism, and he shouldn't have been drafted, chat aside. I reckon it's sick.
It's a very interesting story to follow. So
it's cool, man, when someone goes and plays reserve grade fucking park footy with their son. So to go play for the Lakers at the same time, I think it's pretty cool. Yes, okay, there's always going to be an argument about, he doesn't deserve to be there, but now it's up to him. That's up to Bronny to prove that he does belong.
Well, it's also funny because Jordan's son was caught doing bumps in Paris. So
no.
Oh, sorry.
He was getting his nose hairs. That's what I saw. Cutting his nose hairs.
Yes, at lunch.
Perfectly reasonable place. Clear out the nose. A little shift of gears. What do we think about the Matildas? It was disappointing to say the least.
Yes, but they're also missing some of their best talent too.
Sam Kerr does her ACL earlier in the year. But
that's the big out, of course. But you would have thought they'd push and go a little bit deeper, considering what we expected after the
fourth finish at the World Cup. Going very close. A lot of this is classic Australian media. You feel the weight of it sort of crashing down on you when you haven't performed well, and you get all the admiration and praise when they did so well last year. A la, build them a statue kind of rhetoric. Look, they got when the draw come out, it's pretty hard when you get USA and Germany. I think they need to probably have a look at that Zambia game, and they conceded 5 goals, of which 3 were absolute scrap fests. Like, probably just need to get a little bit better on that defending, and they definitely weren't super duper outplayed by America. Germany probably had their number in that first game. But it has led to the resignation of Tony Gustafsson, so an end of an era there for the Matildas as well. So it'll be interesting when Sam Kerr comes back. I'm sure she'll be hungry to go again for the next World Cup, and then that'll probably be her career.
I was thinking, how old's Sam at the moment?
Let me have a look. I reckon she's 32 off the top of my head, maybe.
I couldn't remember if she hit the big 3-0.
She's definitely in her 30s. Oh, she's 30.
Yeah, that's why.
She'll be
she's
sweet.
30 on the dot.
She'll be going again. So, live and learn. They did have the opportunity again to, because the third place team gets out of these groups, and Canada goes through despite having the cheating and the 6 points.
Just fly my drone, bro. Just fly my drone.
Crazy that's infiltrated elite women's sport now.
Well, there was a lot of talk about I believe there was some evidence for previous tournaments that they were doing as well. That
Patriots tactics.
Yeah, exactly. That maybe they should have actually been putting a line through Canada and disqualifying them. So they were allowed to continue with the minus some points, but it was a bit interesting. We'll see what comes of that in the future. I don't think we've heard the last of that story.
There was a bit of this is obviously indirectly, given that they didn't play each other, but they, there was a consequence of the two best third teams getting out of the group. A fair bit of Aussie-Canada rivalry in this Olympics. So we saw in the rugby sevens, Aussies and Canada. We saw it in the basketball, and we saw it with in the pool. McIntosh going up against Titmus and the likes. So, yeah, a bit of a Aussie-Canadian rivalry, which you don't often see. Obviously, we always talk about the Poms and the Kiwis.
Kiwis, yep.
Yeah. And speaking of the Poms,
yes, fall from grace.
Unlike us to try and stick the boot into our, friends on the other side of the world when they're not performing as well as they should at sports. Yep. We're going back over their run over the last few Olympics. Really impressive since London. They had 29 gold
29
medals.
in London,
29, 27 I think it was in Rio. Yep. 22 in Tokyo, and as it stands, a measly 14. Yeah. So they're about half of what they won at London. Look, when you're a host nation, you tend to do pretty well.
Yeah.
We've actually won. Aussies have won more this Olympics than we did at Sydney. Yep. So not
well, we broke the
great
50
showing.
medals as well. So big total, which we hadn't done before. So it was also very impressive.
The per capita chat's funny when everyone gets it out. And, I'd like to say we're the best sporting nation per capita. As long as you get rid of a few outliers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're sitting in third at the moment. The China and the US going back and forth about who's the top dog in the Olympics. And we'll just go, check the numbers, the amount of athletes you've got coming out compared to what we've got. And, we're definitely punching in that regard.
I reckon New Zealand says high.
Probably
Carrington, half of that herself.
Yeah.
It's always fun. It's funny as well the way that the US media does their medal tallies, total medals.
Well, they have to do totals because they suck in the pool.
Well, they got us in the pool.
They got us in the pool.
By one gold.
But they wait until the athletics kind of kick in, and then they start reporting.
Hammering home.
It was like, now we're leading on golds. It's always funny how they do that. But I think
they've also tonight they've got the women's basketball, who again are like unbackable against France. Their volleyball team is playing for one. There's still a few American ones probably to come through.
Heaps of weightlifting to go as well. So potentially in those. But it's interesting for us because I think we talked last podcast about where the Australians can fit. Do we think we can make it in the top four? Will we squeeze it in?
Top four, we all like top five would be happy with.
Yeah. And we're sitting in third at the moment, and we might finish third. It's looking pretty difficult for the others, with France in fifth at the moment.
Yeah, let me get it up.
Japan
is the danger.
Yeah, Japan is the danger. Just if France somehow upset the US in the basketball we just mentioned, that's a big medal for them for chances, because that'll close the distance from then to us. Well, Japan has won a gold; it's been updated there.
So we're fourth.
We're fourth at the moment.
I'm glad we checked. I don't.
Fourth was where we were hoping to hold on to. We actually thought Great Britain would be further ahead, and Japan would actually slide post being the host, and France would actually maybe do a little bit better being the host this time. But they've got us on total medals. They've done really well in that regard, but just haven't got to gold. Which we've managed to do. We've converted a lot, so. I think there's more cycling, isn't there?
There's some cycling happening right now.
A few Aussies,
some weightlifting.
There's a few Aussies in that though, so we might hit back. So
I don't think we're favoured.
No, we're not favoured at all. But you never know. Good Aussie story.
Stephen Bradbury, bro.
Yes, exactly. But we're sitting there in fourth. I think if we can hold on a fourth, that'd be really impressive. And we can just only build then going into LA and then back here in Brisbane.
Yeah, that's going to be the barometer, isn't it? Is the weight of the nation on the Aussies in 8 years' time in Vegas.
Well, hopefully now that we've got that locked in, the funding comes in and they start building those 12-year-olds now will be 20 by then, and we can get around them and build them into megastars.
Or the 6-year-olds will be 14 and
that too.
winning skating gold. Get at us in the comments. Let us know what you liked about the Olympics, what you didn't like, how it affects your sports viewing. I know for myself, being a big NRL AFL man throughout the year, other than my teams, we still kept a really good eye on, and we'll get to them in just a second. Absolutely dominated my TV for the last 2 weeks.
It's definitely been on time. I wanted to ask you, what did you think about, I think it was the triathlon?
The blokes one?
Well, I think both of them having to swim in the
river.
they're
saying, so apparently they spent over $1 billion in trying to clean it up, and a fair few of the athletes have come out and said that they've gotten some I'm pretty
sure one of the chicks got E. coli from it. So
I think that was their worry, was the E. coli.
Yeah, I think one of them got really, really sick and got that, so...
I don't know.
And because they delayed it a day as well. I think out of all the stuff that happens in the Olympics, I think that was probably the most shit thing. Funny. Out of the whole thing. I think the rest of the Olympics has run pretty well. There's been some good stuff out of it. There's, been a few hee-haws in there.
Some of the venues, beach volleyball in front of the Eiffel Tower. The
very, very pretty.
Stade de France absolutely popping off. The big swimming arena we spoke about.
Yeah, but I think if there was only downside, it was probably that event having to be delayed, and then they ran it in the river anyway. And there's
poo water.
Yeah, in the old poo water, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's almost like an ancient city of 15 million people.
Yeah, I'm not sure the
main waterway is probably not the best place to be swimming.
I'm not sure the Brisbane River's any better, but
well, we've got to clean out all the bull sharks and one of those orange scooter things that you can pull a fair few of them out of the brown snake. I don't think any swimming events will be held in the brown snake come Brizzy 2032. But yeah, let us know. Obviously, on paper, Australia's best Olympics in terms of total gold. We did finish third on the medal tally way back in Melbourne, 1956. But that's a bloody long time ago.
Yeah,
so,
post-war efforts, etc. So.
Yeah, and shout out to the girls. Girls dominated.
Yeah, I think girls dominated.
Dominated in the pool, honestly. The Fox sisters.
Skateboard.
BMX. Yep.
They made it up a large portion of our medals.
Yeah, big time.
Go around the women's sport in Australia.
Aussie girls, let's go. That'll wrap us up for the Olympics. So a little bit of... All right, let's talk some footy. As aforementioned, haven't watched a heap of footy. I did watch my Dragons.
It's been a bit quiet. I think the season's kind of... We're at that point in the season where Storm and Penrith just feel like so much better than everyone else, and we're ready for finals footy. We're kind of at that point where season's gone on long enough. We've got another 3 rounds to go, I think.
Yeah, the league is just 4, I think.
4, jeez. Yeah. And, there's another month of footy before we even get to finals. But, yeah, it's a long season, post-Origin hangover into Olympics fever. So, yeah, I think everyone's starting to hang out for, all right, where's people finishing and can we get some finals ticking off?
We'll talk about Storm and Penrith because they played Thursday and Friday night. Storm getting the win 28-16 against South. I watched a grand total of 0 minutes of that one. Friday night, the Sharks absolutely belted the Titans 44-0. Both these teams, you never know what you're going to get with either of them. Yeah. They are Forrest Gump. Life is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You taste like cigarettes, Jenny.
Yeah, you think with Nico out and then the Titans, didn't they beat Brisbane last week or something like that?
Yeah, they've beaten Brisbane twice this year. They hammered the Waz, a few weeks ago, and then
just didn't get off the bus for this one.
Did not get off the Seabus Super Stadium whatsoever. Tries too. Let's have a look. Rudolph, Stone Street, Ramian, Hazelton. Hazelton loves a meat pie. Big Shrek. Talakai, Stone Street. Nickera, Jack Williams, Daniel Atkinson, 6 from 8 with the boot. Very, very good there. Did you see any of the Thursday night games? Storm and Rabbits? I didn't see any of it,
but I do know that the Storm looking very deadly because they're very healthy. Munster's back, Pappy's back. You got Hughes there, Grant, that's fine. That's why they're at the top of the table. And they will be a big challenge, I think, for anyone come finals footy. I think them and Penrith are kind of clearing themselves from everyone else.
Clearing themselves?
Yes, as you will. And I think I was looking at the ladder earlier, I just feel like everyone's distant. The Eels did challenge them here, and I have no idea how in this game. But again, Penrith just got hot right at the end of the game, scored 3 tries and took it away from them.
Yeah, I did watch the second half of this, and just out of interest, I saw the score. I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah. I think how are the Eels winning? Moses is done for the year.
Yeah. Well, Gutho was playing really good up until that final kick, the poor fella. And then you just got that feeling. There was, once the Panthers get a roll on, they
got
know,
the momentum.
They know how to win games. Brian To'o with the double. Dane Laurie pretty good. They scored 3 tries in 7 minutes. And
some interesting news about Toto during the week about will he go to the Tigers? With his old mate. And
obviously, really good mates with Jerome Luai. I'm sure every man's got a price. You'd think.
I think we said it best out of our Origin thing is like people just forget how good he is and what he does because he's so consistent with what he does that I think even Penrith kind of forgot about it, and I don't think he was really hunting more money, but I guess they were looking at his deal and what was done, and I think Tigers were offering him good money and potentially, and with that connection as well, go over there and play with Jerome. But I think they've cleared the air and he's happy at Penrith. Because I think he's got a contract for another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's all smoke. Hoops, why the Tigers must make $4 million play for Brian To'o. I think this is a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
But
bit of mayo.
Yeah. Again, I don't know why you're going to spend that kind of money on a winger, even if he is week in, week out.
The best winger.
Statistically the best winger in the game. Yeah. Did you see the Gutho kick?
Yes.
Yeah, poor fella.
Fogarty had one a couple of weeks ago, and someone else did as well. There's been a few shanks from very kickable goals.
One in the NRLW, the season opener, the Chooks and Knights it was. I watched that a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, God, it was a bad shank. But he played out of his skin all game and then gets one 30 out, slight angle, and it didn't miss by a little bit.
No, missed by it was very much a shank. Yeah.
It was Madden when you hit the controller and it's fucking
it's way left.
Yeah, 45 degrees left. Poor Gutho. Raiders got pretty handily beaten by Manly Saturday afternoon. They are starting to look like they may miss out.
Yeah, they could be donezo. It was a pretty competitive game this until about half time, and then I think just dumb stuff. Tarpany got binned and they scored 3 while he was in the bin. So, I think that was really what did him in. There was a bit of a controversial disallowed try leading into half time for the Raiders, which would have maybe gave them a bit of the momentum, but there's not much more you could do in that space.
Didn't Luke Brooks brain it in this game? I heard he had an absolute blinder.
Yeah, I think Sanders played. I think the first half was very competitive, and then the Raiders shot themselves in the foot.
Brooksy, 181 metres gained, 1 meat pie, 2 try assists, 21 tackles, 5 tackle busts. He's having himself a bit of a year. He has never played a finals game.
There you go.
Crazy. I saw what
That's what you get for playing for the Tigers.
I think most of the leagues thank God, he's getting actually want Manly to make the final, he gets the opportunity to play a final. I saw it like a graphic with the streak, like longer streaks. Ben Hunt is well up there too as well. We'll get to the Dragons in just a moment. Broncos 42, Cowboys 18. Big win there in the Brisbane Derby.
That keeps them...
in the Queensland Derby, I should say.
Yeah, that keeps them just alive, I think.
They're 4 points out.
They have to win out, I think, essentially from here.
Well,
they're mathematical in the equation.
Well, they have a bye. They play Para at home. Then they get... This will be a big one against the Dolphins, and then Melbourne. Yeah, look,
Melbourne might have wrapped up the minor premiership.
They might, so that's a good point.
Yeah, still mathematical, but I don't like their chances. Much better, of course, with
Reynolds back.
With Reynolds back, but is Ezra still dealing with an ankle?
No, he played in that one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I did watch Dragons Bulldogs sellout at Oakey Jubilee. I haven't seen that for quite some time. Actually had a nice suburban sellout feel to it. And the Bulldogs just really, really good. Toby Sexton's been unreal in the few Bulldogs games that I've seen this season. From a guy who was sort of borderline to even making the team at the start of the year, just putting blokes through holes and cut out balls and just playing really clever halfback play. Critter really good in this one, and Jacob Carraz, the meter reader, has got a few sort of errors in him, but he's pretty handy outside back. The big story out of this one was the Kyle Flanagan little nip. Nothing's come of it just yet. They'll have a look. Critter pretty much put his nose in his mouth, and he had a little chew.
Yeah.
We'll See what comes of
Reactionary.
it. You reckon?
Wait.
It always looks worse in slow mo.
Yeah, it does. I think, did he have a big bite mark on his nose afterwards?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
And his mouth cut, but his mouth cut is in.
Yeah, but you don't wear it on your bottom jaw. So.
No, that is also true.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
You see what happens there. Doggies, they're going along really well. They're
Right.
fourth at the moment. On the
Fifth, I
ladder?
think.
Fifth, yeah.
But they're going incredible. And I did see the turnover from the Gus Gould era.
Oh, there's like one guy.
One guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's literally one. They've are fifth, but they're starting to sort of solidify and could make a run for the top four.
Yep.
Finns win. This was Golden Point this afternoon, wasn't it? Against the Wars, 34-32 to knock the Dragons out of the 8. SJ announces retirement. That's season's end, is it?
Yes, I believe so.
Let me get some SJ numbers up there. Arguably robbed of a Dally M last year. He'd be 35, maybe. He's 33. He's a little younger than I thought.
34 in a couple of weeks.
About to turn 34. 265 NRL games as it stands. 32 for New Zealand and Laotian heritage as well. So a lot of people don't know that. I don't think that he's half Laotian and has been absolutely instrumental in the Warriors as a franchise.
He was one of the most dynamic, I guess, halves and ball runners as well. Of that kind of recent generation.
Yep.
I guess following on from what Benji did.
Exactly. He always got the Benji comparisons, especially when he was younger and quite quick, and that step.
The steps, yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to him for a good career. The Warriors, 21 points. We're just talking about how Brisbane's mathematical. That extra 1 point might hurt them. They're 5 behind the 8. I think you can probably put a line through them.
Yeah, I agree.
Knights beat the Tigers 34-18. Stefano Utukumano signs with the Storm.
Someone got a hattie in this as well. If you want,
Let me have a look. Yeah.
But yeah,
This is just finished. I haven't seen dick of this.
yeah. But Storm getting another. Well, surprisingly, they're a bigger name for them.
Yeah,
big loss for the Tigers.
Massive.
Yeah, it's not a guy completely unknown that they're going to turn into a megastar, but I think he'll just go from.
Or maybe it's a star that they'll turn into a megastar.
Exactly. Yeah, they know the talent that's there, and they're going to turn him into an absolute monster down there in Melbourne. Which is exactly what they need, being potential minor premiers coming up, is just add an extra talent into the second row. So, yeah, such a Tigers. Storm are just going to be Storm.
Fletcher Sharp scored the hattie in this one from the Sting. He scored 4.
Within 10 minutes.
He scored 4, actually, yeah. So
Yeah.
20, 30, 39, 55, 4 for Fletcher Sharp. He's having himself a breakout year. Yep. Obviously filled in for Kalen Ponga. He knocked Drew Armstrong out of a he was looking all right as well, filling it in for Ponga, and took the one off him and kept himself in the team. And obviously he's a pretty handy footballer.
Looks like we wrapped up the bronze medal. And
Let's go. Opals shooting free throws here. Yeah, they've won themselves a bronze medal. Add it to the tally. Let's go. Really good. Perth, pretty much set to happen.
well, the whole deal with Perth and the Bears, Central Coast Bears,
North Sydney Bears.
North Sydney Bears, has been agreed to. So they've, there was a bit of argy-bargy about who's going to do what, etc. And then, so it sounds like, they've agreed and most likely going to be called the Western Bears. So I believe the round for the 18th team, so the 18th team bid, the round of bidding for that is about to close. So this agreement means they're into that. You probably get...
So they're poll now ahead of PNG? PNG is more likely to be a 19th or 20th?
Yeah, maybe more long-term. And then probably add in your second New Zealand team as the third one, because getting a team set up in Australia is going to be a lot easier than getting another team set up internationally. So I think that's where they kind of see the growth is. Let's get the growth in the Perth market, and then we can then build into
big market
international. And we saw it's definitely done well. It's definitely done well for Origin. They played some NRL games there post Origin, I believe, and it also did really well. Sold out,
double header out there at Optus, and they've absolutely killed it with numbers. Obviously, the Origins always sell out when they're out there.
Yep. And they do get the Bears name, the Bears logo, the Bears colour. So we actually talked, I think, about the fins. Why don't they go red and black? Well, the Bears have now got that. They've got that locked down, so they'll have that colour scheme. And, they can use the Western, so a bit of, not Western Sydney, but, they've got that. Actually, did the Bears start in Western Sydney and then move more North Sydney? I don't remember.
No, North Sydney is an inaugural rugby league club. The Western Reds were in the Super League for a little bit back in the 90s.
Oh, maybe that was the Western Reds is where the Western name comes from.
Yeah, no affiliation.
Yeah, but I think there was some reference in why I use Western as well instead of going Perth Bears. So that's what their bid's going to be, and I think that's. All accounts is the most likely to be 18th, as you said, over the Perth in New Zealand team. And I think we'll beat out any potential another Brisbane or another Queensland team that was in that kind of round. So, it's looking more and more likely that we'll have an 18th team. Probably 2026, I think, is if they announce it now, it's going to be 2026. So.
All the news reports that I'm reading from today, North Sydney Bears confirm the return to NRL as Western Bears. Newest franchise set to be formally announced. So it seems like it's as good as...
Yeah, I think this deal they had to do to pull it together, so they had some base of the history from in Sydney and then, be able to have a established name, as you will, for a Perth team to get behind. And there's no other Bears teams in Australia, so
the defunct
no Bears in Australia,
Brisbane Bears, defunct. It's all these news articles from today. 25.
So it's basically
pretty much
a done deal.
Good as done.
Yeah,
lost their license in '99. Expected to join as the 18th team in the coming years. This article actually doesn't. Oh no, it does say expected for 2027.
Yeah. Oh, and because the August deadline for August 14th was the deadline for submissions. So
that's Wednesday.
Yep. So they've essentially this deal confirms that they're going to be in that, and those other ones we mentioned with Papua New Guinea and.
There's nothing official from.
It's not official.
From
they're not confirmed.
No,
but they're heavily the front runner. The bidding process for this is about to close, and by all accounts, it'll be, it's whether how long they make till they make that announcement post August 14th that they're going to be the winner.
Could play at least one token game at their spiritual home in New South Wales, in North Sydney Oval.
Yep.
Likely to be against arch rivals Manly. I wonder if the North Sydney contingent would be pushing for possibly more than just the one game, maybe a couple.
Logistically, might be a few others.
Might be hard. It's a long way.
Yeah.
It's a long flight. We see it in the AFL, the attrition of flying across the Nullarbor every other week.
Yep.
But
it also ends up being very beneficial for that team too. So
in terms of making home a fortress.
Yes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Watch this space essentially in the coming week, and probably before our next podcast, they'll have submissions in, and then presumably the media will report on who's been submitted, and then there'll be a bit of a waiting game as to which one gets announced. Wayne Bennett into the Hall of Fame.
Yep, so they've started to announce the Hall of Fame. I think we talked about that. That actually is coming up in a couple of weeks, I believe.
For the next Immortal.
Yep, for the next Immortal. So they're doing the Hall of Fame side of that, and Wayne Bennett, still as an active coach, gets added into that. He's got 5 decades almost of service in the NRL.
Over 1,000 games.
So and then they've also added Jack Gibbs as well as the first. I think they're both the first coaches to be entered into the Hall of Fame. I guess rightly so for the two of them with their history and their involvement in rugby league from a very early stage to the amount of service. I guess the goat of coaching here in the NRL in Wayne Bennett. So
the original super coach in Jack Gibson. It's actually more recent that it's actually less recent than I thought. 2008 he passed away. Yep. So. This will be 16 years posthumously, but obviously massive for his family. Synonymous with coaching.
Scroll down. So he coached from 67 to 87. So
20 years across East Dragons,
and then throw
Jets.
an extra 3 years in there for some New South Wales as well.
Yeah. East Dragons, Newtown, South Para, Cronulla, 394 games coached there for Gibbo. Wallabies, got to sneak them in. They got pretty handily beaten,
Yeah,
but
hammered.
sold out Suncorp Stadium.
Did sell out Suncorp Stadium. You wouldn't have known it. I didn't see. Don't think I saw anything for this.
Well, people must know about it if they're selling out Suncorp.
Well, the hardcore Wallabies guys definitely know about it. But unfortunately for them, they got hammered by the Springbok. 33-7 was the final score in that one. So, yeah, hasn't been a... It started off, I guess, the new era of Wallabies okay. But
Against Wales and Georgia.
yeah, and then we said, we'll see how we go once we get up against the bigger nations, especially like the Springbok here. And we got towed up.
This is the defending world champs. It is on our home turf. But yeah, Joe Schmidt cops his first loss as coach. I also, much like all the other footy we're talking about, has been pretty preoccupied with the Olympics, but we'll certainly catch some highlights and they'll have a return leg, I think, as well. I'll just check if that's next week. But yeah, in terms of rugby championship, not getting ourselves off to a good start.
17th.
Next Saturday. Perth. Mm-hmm. So hopefully can bounce back, but you're pretty handily beaten there.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
All right, let's talk some Aussie rules footy.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the round 21 stuff, a fair bit more in the concussion realm. So Sean,
very interesting one.
Yeah, you've got the story here.
Yeah, because the big insurer for AFL players, Zurich, I think it is, has now put a new clause into all their insurance contracts for AFL players that it's basically a blanket exclusion for concussion. So if you essentially then look to get a payout through your insurance for a concussion, that you won't be available to do that. So that's for any new clients. So any of the young fellas coming in won't be able to use that. That comes on the back of multiple payouts and multiple small kind of bids. A lot of them has been the series of multi-million-dollar payouts with all the concussion suits going on, class actions at AFL. My concern with this, and the kind of reason I wanted to bring it up, was how far this goes. Because when you sign up and play any of the sports in Australia at a younger level, there's insurance that gets covered with that. Does that mean for all the young fellas that it's going to start pulling out?
This would be for the AFL.
I know this is definitely for the AFL, but how far does that policy then going to extend? Yes, they probably could look for another insurance provider that maybe will also insure them for that specific injury. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I guess it's a big kind of hit that even the insurance companies are worried about concussions to the point to rule it out.
That's what they do. The concussion safety net for AFL players is being pulled, sounding alarm bells. This is per Herald Sun. Revealed the contents of an email on July 11, which Zurich Insurance Group confirmed that new AFL clients would not be able to claim for any concussion or traumatic injuries.
So those on the currently policy, it doesn't affect their policy.
Exactly.
But for any new policies and young fellas, it would. And there have been a bunch of guys that retired this year during their concussions, and they're going, hey, well, my career has ended because of an injury.
Yeah, so
and then they won't hit their insurance.
They won't be affected by this because it's for new clients only.
Yeah, exactly. But anyone new would not be of the same luxury, essentially, to go out there, play professional football and know that they're covered if they have several concussions that then ends their career.
The decision comes after 3 former AFL players received 7-figure payouts as a result of career-ending concussion issues. The way that I see this happening, right, so we have more knowledge about concussion now. Obviously, a lot of it, the research coming out of the NFL and what happened in America. They're trying to avoid probably class actions.
There's some pretty cool developments in the NFL helmet designs as well.
Definitely.
They've actually been saying that the new versions of helmets they've been testing are better for concussions. They're even better than the current helmets with Guardian caps. So they've obviously, the helmet technology is improving rapidly. So, that's great for that sport. And
concussions, not going to help.
But not for anywhere that doesn't wear any helmets for that regard. So, yeah.
My concern here is if they're going to write it out of the insurance policies for new players, then you're just going to have to start offering them bigger contracts during their career.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's the only way that I can see that playing out. Like
exactly.
if
you're signing up gladiators, essentially.
Exactly. And I'm not going to have any, long-term, concussion risk written into my contract, then, I think you're just going to have to pay him more. And we thought it was Mayo with the Harley Reid article a few weeks ago and,
10-year deal.
10 years over, 15, 18, who knows
yeah.
how many million, might get thrown at Harley Reid. But yeah, if they're going to not cover these guys post career, for the big concussion clause only, so presumably
or career ending early because of it.
Well, yeah, presumably your knee and hip and shoulders and everything else that goes in an AFL career will be exempt. But yeah, I think the Players Association will just get together and say, okay, well, if we're going to do that, then let's see a 50% increase in wages or something that's going to help to try and cover it, because not everyone's career, ends in traumatic brain injury, but the fact of the matter is it's a high impact sport, and you don't have the frequency of tackling like you see in league or even union, but the amount of force when you're coming down from a massive
the falls,
the massive marking contest,
and you get a lot of bumps because it's a 360 sport, so it's also a little bit different to some of the others. So
it's just this is going to be in the realm of discussion for the foreseeable future in all contact sports.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting because the AFL is very much at the forefront of a lot of this news, because they're the ones with all the lawsuits. They're the ones with all this conversation around insurances and known guys that have retired saying, hey, I've retired because of concussions. Yeah, they're very much at the forefront compared to, say, where the rugby league is and, even for the NFL, they had their big thing, but they haven't. They've had some lawsuits, I guess so. It'd be interesting, I guess, with the health insurance side of it, with the Players Association for AFL, what happens in there, what gets covered in that too. So, whether there's extra protection for those young fellas, but it's a very interesting move, and whether that means, yes, we're just going to change provider and find a better insurance company that does cover it. But I think a lot of those companies will also be thinking the same thing. They'll be like, oh, okay, we'll pay you some. We won't pay you the full figures, maybe you get half kind of thing, if it's that thing. They can definitely do what they want. But these are big companies that focus on making profits.
Which is sad, and you'd like to think that,
the players' health.
Human welfare, player welfare comes first, but we do see time and time again that the bottom line tends to be the most important thing.
Yes. Yep.
There's a Herald Sun here, journo Josh Barnes, who's put it pretty well here. We know players are one serious head knock away from real problems in life, and we do see that with post-concussive syndromes, and sometimes it's not it doesn't need to be a whole run of accumulative
it could just
effect.
be one.
It could be one.
You just get one really bad one and you're fucked.
So without being too doomsday about it, hopefully they don't go ahead with it from the player welfare perspective, and if they do, then there's some sort of contract negotiation to try and help them make a bit more money whilst they are in the prime.
Exactly. And careers aren't that long for a lot of guys, so if you're going to that wear and tear, you're going to put through your body for 4 or 5 years. You want to try and make as much as you can in that time frame.
Exactly right. Not everyone that gets drafted becomes Scott Pendlebury. That will roll us into the Swans and the Pies Friday night. I was sort of flicking between the Olympics and the league, and then I was like, geez, we've got a game on here as well. The Swans got absolutely belted last week by Port. It has happened since our last pod, so we'll just briefly mention it. It was 71-0 at one stage before they got on the board. They ended up losing by 112, I think it was.
Yep.
AFL, VFL era, close to 30 years of history, 125. No team has ever conceded 100 and won the flag.
Yep.
So
put a line through.
Their first put a line through. They did come back in this game very late. It was pretty much off the back of Isaac Heaney and Chad Warner. They got 14 apiece in the last quarter to overcome 3.5 goal deficit at 3/4 time. Chad finished with 33 disposals, 2 goals, may have taken 3 votes in this one, probably off Heaney, 32 goals, 1.
Well, he can't get votes anymore, so.
And he also he had 32 disposals, he didn't kick 32 goals. I just realised I misspoke. So Swans stay in first. There has been some really concerning signs for a number of teams over the last month and a half of footy.
Well, they got really banged up and had a bad month. Well, about 6 weeks, really.
Yeah, Papley did his ankle.
Suspension as well.
Yeah, exactly. They brought back some of the old heads like Luke Parker, and I don't know if that was the right fit.
Yeah.
It's going to be very competitive as blokes get healthy for their final 22. So that's a good problem for Horse to have, I suppose.
Yeah. And you prefer to have your wobble at that point before you go into the finals. Yeah. So they have a good couple of weeks of footy as they lead into the finals, and they'll be right.
It is funny though. Like 6 weeks ago, we were talking about when
can we give them?
When can we give them the flag? Like the minor premiership.
That's why they play a full season.
They play Bombers in Melbourne next week, and then finish with the Crom at home. Lions, they go down to the Giants. The Gabba it's been penetrated, the penetrable fortress.
They never play the Giants well for whatever reason.
Yeah, Giants played their ass off for 3/4 of this. The Lions led by 30 at quarter time and then didn't do a whole much more after that. And they
whatever the team chat was.
2 goals, 8 in the second half.
Team chat at quarter time, just throw that in the bin. Don't ever use that again.
Did you catch much of this?
No, I didn't.
Let me get some numbers up here.
The olds were telling me about it, and they're like, it was one of the worst games I watched. It was hard watching.
Hard viewing.
Yeah.
In terms of like a goal kicking perspective, I'd imagine, from looking at that.
And just general play, I think they were, I don't want to say they sacked it off, but it kind of felt that way.
You're going to kick 2 goals and a half, and probably going to be a little bit like that. Let's have a look here. 3 for Cadman, 3 for Hogan. Tom Green, 28. It's kind of quiet by his lofty standards. Will Ashcroft maybe shining light, 29 for the young bloke.
And his younger brother, I believe, has committed to the Lions as well. So
he's in this next draft class as well, and we'll get under a father-son rule. They, before this game, had gone, I think it actually...
5 in a row? Or 6 in a row?
Yeah, I think they jumped Sydney as favourites. I think they're back into second favourites. We'll get it for the end of the round. Just let me start looking at that now. Yes, they're into second favourites, just. Eagles get a win down in Tassie against North. Top 6 ball winners were all Roos, but still didn't get the win. Yeah. Colby McKersha's looking pretty good. He had 37, Sheasel 31 and 2 goals, always very good. Breakout player for them for this year is Tristan Sherry. Anyone that plays AFL Supercoach will know all about this bloke. This is a pretty handy day for a ruck in a losing side. 30 disposals, 33 hit-outs, 12 tackles, 6 marks. Thanks for coming.
Take it.
See the Harley Reid hanger? It's nice.
Didn't, but he's been playing unreal.
Out on the wing in front of the hill, step ladder, sat up there, walked it off, cool as, went through his next kick like nothing had happened. He's a superstar.
Oh, yeah. He's only going to get better and better.
Pay the man $18 million.
Exactly.
5 goals for Oscar Allen. Eagles 16th, I think. And I think realistically can't get the spoon. Or maybe even mathematically.
How did the Tigers lost? So...
Yeah, they're clear. So the West Coast can't get the spoon. It'll be out of North and Richmond.
Poor Richmond.
Cats beat Freo over in the West, 10-13-73, plays 9-8-62. The big Tomahawk, he announced his retirement this week. A few massive retirements getting announced. We'll get to Dusty in just a second. So... Unlike Dusty, Tomahawk is going to play out the rest of the season and will play finals and call it a quits at the end of that. He's on 359 games, 796 goals at present, so barring injury, gets to 800 career goals.
Yep.
And they'll be trying to win another flag. No reason why they can't. They're all Catters.
Yep. They've still got all that veteran talent there, and they've won a lot for a reason. He won how many premierships?
3. 09. 09, 2011, 2022.
All Australian 5 times.
5 times.
Their leading goal kicker.
11 times.
11 times.
It's incredible. Not just from a goal kicking perspective, but from a durability perspective there.
Super consistent.
Yeah, exactly. And not to have a serious injury in that
he's
time.
He's played 360 games, so he's done a good job.
Such a strongly built full forward as well.
It's not a bad unit.
Yeah, fucking. He's a rig, man. So yeah, gonna call it a day. The Big Tomahawk at season's end. Bombers. Oh boy. This one was a tough pill to swallow for anyone that dons a sash. 12-14-86 plays 13-9 87. After the siren, Mac Andrew kicks a goal. I would hate to have this kick because it was straight in front.
All the pressure. Win your first game away from home.
Incredible. Mac Andrew finishes the game with 4. He'd been involved in niggle like 2 minutes before this as well. Goes out there and takes a good pack mark and gets the job done and gets absolutely swamped by his teammates. Shout out to Mick Steamson, friend of the show, makes the odd appearance when he's in Canberra. Last 3 games that have been won by a kick after the siren in the AFL have been against Bombers. That's this game last year going down to Dan Houston off that massive bomb, and I think one in 2022. So they're not liking the end of match experience. Apparently haven't won a game after the siren since 1913.
Wild.
It's crazy, given
it's a rare occurrence. Like
it happens once or twice a season.
Like it definitely happens a couple of times a year. But yeah, haven't had a chance to do it, and they've had it done to themselves multiple times.
I just can't believe with their key forwards that they've had in Lloyd and Lucas and Salmon and
they didn't have an opportunity to do it.
Yeah. I would have thought someone would have, but apparently not. I think they're done. They play the Swans, they play the Lions away. And they're
9th, aren't they, the Bombers at the moment?
They're 10th.
They slid to 10th.
With a percentage of 96, and then 9th, everyone else's percentage around them is hovering at 100 or well above 100.
Yeah.
That might be curtains for the Bombers who were top 4 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
And we'll get to the Blues in just a second.
Yeah, well, I wrote it down there where they were at round 14.
Round 14, Blues 2nd, Pies 3rd, Bombers 4th. As of this round, Blues 8th, Bombers 10th now. Yeah, so actually Blues 9th, Bombers 10th. That would have been correct at the time of writing. And Collingwood 11th.
Yep.
So
9, 10, and 11.
Big turnaround in 2 months, that's for sure. D's have also slid as well. You probably throw them in there. Petrarca injury probably didn't help their season. Very ordinary crowd in there at the G.
Even for the Demons, but I guess the fans have kind of...
they're fair with the fans. Bro.
Yeah, they've seen the writing on the wall.
Port looking pretty good. They're 2nd.
Yeah. Sneak through on this one, though.
It's a bit of a scrap. I saw very little of this. I think there was more seagulls in the MCG than there was players. Let me get the game up. I'll see if anyone actually did anything in this. Butters 30 and a goal. Shock. 4 goals in a losing effort for Cozzy Pickett. Maxi Gawn pretty good in a losing effort too. Horn Francis 28, 25 kicks, 2 goals. Pretty good, the old Hornet. Port could cause some issues. All right, we've got to talk about it. So up until this point, this was the margins in the games for the round. 3 points, 18, absolute blowout, 18. 5, 11, 1, 2. So every game was 3 or goals less, with 3 games being a kick or less.
Yep.
Red Hot Hawks come out and absolutely trounce the Blues. 16-16, 112 plays 5-8, 38. Caveat some injuries with Fogarty and Martin both going down earlier. And the big question that's going to be about 100,000 Blues members holding their breath overnight is these Charlie Curnow scans.
Yeah,
it looks like a lateral ankle. Yeah. I didn't see him in a moon boot. I'll see if there's any news that's popped up since. But rolled his ankle, removed from play, did not finish game, and multiple Coleman medal winner doesn't finish. So let's have a look. Articles galore coming out. Carlton's medical staff under fire as Charlie Curnow aggravates existing ankle injury.
Okay.
So they did
might have had a sprain.
Yeah, exactly. They did have but you see this all the time.
Yeah.
Strap it up, try and get through, etc. To me, if he's aggravated an existing lateral ankle sprain, and we're not dealing with any syndesmosis or fracture, he may miss next week, maybe if they're desperate, back. But surely he's back for finals, I would think, provided there's no dreaded syndesmosis in that scan. I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow. Speaking of their next two games, I don't even fucking talk about the game. No, actually, credit to Hawthorn. Like their handball chain and just murdered Carlton on the turnover. And it's all corridor. Like Carlton would turn it over in attacking 50 on their half forward, and then it was just handball chain, run it through, and then kicking easy goals up the other end. 3 apiece to Weddle, Gunston, Deer. Massimo D'Ambrosio's sort of been able to redefine his career since becoming a Hawk. Sicily, good as always. Dylan Moore had a fair bit of it. Hawks are hot, man.
They've been really good.
They've been, I think, statistically the best team over the last 2 months.
I think they've one of those teams that rebuilt young and very quickly and have seemed to really gather their stuff up and go into it. So, yeah, I think it's been an impressive run from them.
They finish the round in the top 8. They are 8th. It's only a percentage point that differentiates Carlton and them. It was actually the fact that they run up such a high score or a high margin on the Blues that got them into the 8. They finished with Richmond at the G and North Melbourne, Tassie.
Yep.
They should win both.
Yep. So I'm getting very distracted by this because this is 2 Australians going for gold up against the Japanese guys, which is massive for our Olympics.
And there's 2 laps to go
in the cycling. So we'll
let's follow this. There's a Dutch guy that's just pulled out ahead. We pretty much need this Japanese guy to.
So Matthew Richardson won his semi-final.
Oh my God! There's a fall.
So we went
silver, bronze.
Damn,
and the
Richardson
Japanese
got
guy
second.
fell over. Holy hell!
Damn, that would have been huge if he won that.
And there was a big fall. Hopefully those blokes are all right.
Yeah, they have some big falls in the cycle.
Velodrome's wild, bro.
Yeah.
Did you see that angle on that thing?
Well, they're doing almost 80 Ks an hour.
76 K an hour they're going.
It's wild.
Insane.
Damn.
Pretty reasonable quads on these blokes too.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take a silver bronze, but yeah,
Jeez, a gold there would have been
good.
Nice.
Huge for us going up and
we would have jumped back in the third.
Yeah, we've got third again. Well, can't get them all.
That's been the story of this last few weeks, isn't it? Oh yeah, we're talking about a bit of footy. Oh fuck, better way to go.
Come on.
Just a stinking silver and bronze.
Bloody Netherlands had to ruin the party.
Thank you to Genwell Bolandras in the chat. Guys, Bombers fans are calling back for James Hird. Is this a reality? I don't know what's going on. It'll be post-season blow-up.
There has definitely been some back and forth with him in recent years, with depending on how they've been going. But, yeah, I don't think so. I think they were going okay and they've really fallen off again the last 6 weeks. So they just got to get back to what were they doing right in the first half of the year to then probably focus for next year at this point about what they do.
This is the most recent news on Hird. James Hird decided not to coach Port Melbourne, turning 25. Famous VFL club pursued him, take over. Essentially, if the papers are to be believed, Hird will not coach anyone, whether that's Port or Port Melbourne, I should say, or else in 2025. They're going to have to blow something up, you'd think. They've lost a lot of close games as well.
That is too.
Yeah. But the last month of footy had that 1 point win against Freo, smacked by the Saints, lost close to the Crom, lost to Melbourne. Yeah.
But they're games that if they wanted to be in the top 8, they should be winning. So.
Smashed by the Cats. They're just consistency, I think, has been difficult for them over the last couple of months. I don't see them making the 8 with that percentage and 2 hard games to play.
Yeah, I agree.
And then probably the biggest story of the whole week. So Dustin Martin has announced his retirement effective immediately.
Yeah.
So
kind of unsurprising that, if he's going to retire, the Tigers are basically getting a spoon at this point. With the way you're going. There's actually some chat that Bolton also wants to leave and go out west. So, back to one of the Western clubs. But it'll be, it's kind of the official end, I guess, for the Tigers season. And dynasty as you will, they basically have to hit the reset button. All the aging guys have now aged too far, and they haven't really got enough young talent in to really capitalise on yet. They can't lose Bolton. I think they really need to build the team around his talent and replace guys like Dusty and get some young fellas in there.
Yeah, Adam Uze's got a tough job ahead of him, that's for sure. Let's focus on the career that was. This all, in retrospect, makes sense as well with him not playing in the away game, being managed to get his 300 through the G and getting 90,000 through the gates.
Yeah,
and
someone knew something.
Well, Dustin knew.
Yeah.
And obviously the club had known, and now they've come out and made it all official. Three-time AFL Premiership player in the Dimmer dynasty, 2017, 2019, 2020. Three-time Norm Smith medalist in all aforementioned. One Brownlow. Four-time All-Australian, 302 games, 338 goals. Arguably the best player of the modern era.
Yeah, I think...
Buddy probably says so.
Yeah, the missed tackle stat is his stat. He's
the broken tackles.
Yeah, broken tackles. Yeah. He's so far ahead of everyone else in that regard. So that was the type of player who was get the ball and be absolutely untackable and lead to scoring opportunities. So just freak, just
the clutch nature of him as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Which also
big game play.
Brought him a little bit of criticism at times. Especially in that. Era, the era of domination as well, where people were like, Dusty only shows up for big games, lol. Yeah. But it kind of didn't really need to, I suppose, week to week. I think Schofield has a chance on being the Weagles full-time coach. Okay, so Adam Simpson...
Gone. They've been...
We'd already spoken about that last pod, hadn't we?
Correct.
Yep. I wonder if we can get some odds there on West Coast next coach. I've not been following this very closely.
They haven't been doing too bad
at all.
I think they're a much better team.
Fucking
Harley Reid plays them in it, that's for sure.
They have been night and day better than what they have been. According to this article from sportingnews.com, we've got, this is the short list: Brett Montgomery, Ash Hansen, Jared Schofield, so premiership winner there at Port Adelaide. And he has coached before, I'm pretty sure, as well. Let me see Jared Schofield. I just don't know if it's Waffle or where he has coached.
2004 he joined. He might have just been on the Weagles for forever.
So he's the, what do you call him, caretaker?
He's the interim,
at the moment. Oftentimes it just goes to them. I don't know. Let's have a look. I don't care. My best player in modern era will always be... I don't know who this is, but thank you for the Spanger input there. Unwritten rule, don't sign your caretaker coach. He's 2-3 since going caretaker. Maybe he might be playing for a full-time position next year. Be interesting to see the Weagles. I'd imagine they'll be climbing back up the ladder.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of the Australian sports usually go with the interim guy. They usually try to get a big thing. They want a big name.
And Trent Barrett comes to mind in the NRL.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the NFL recently, as a comparison from what I can remember, has a few more of the interims winning it. Yep. Antonio Pierce is the big one I can think of off the top of my head.
He was good last year, Antonio.
Exactly. So, but I think that's the point. Like, if you come in and be really good and the players actually really like you and want to play for you, that's a good step in the right direction.
It's a tryout, bro.
Yeah.
It's a tryout.
Exactly.
You should come to the tryouts.
So, if you're taking over a club that's struggling, that's why the head coach gets sacked, and then you've turned them around and they're actually competitive, then that really, really helps your case. And, if the young fellas want to play for you, then we'll go there. True Raiders are not a bunch.
They are. And that we'll talk about some NFL in just a second. I want to do the old ladder predictor because I think that will be a fun way to finish the AFL section here. we might have to just try and agree with each other, otherwise this will take fucking forever. And all right, I've got it here. All right, Bombers, Swans next week in Melbourne.
Swans.
I'll say Swans as well. I'll say by
I think the Bombers are in the wrong direction.
Gold Coast at home against Melbourne
Gold Coast.
by a bit.
Not by a huge amount, but they
5 goals.
fine. It doesn't. I don't think it matters.
GWS at home against Freo. Giants, I think.
Yeah, I think Giants. Giants at home. Yeah.
We'll go shorter margin. This is a big game. Collingwood, Brisbane Lions. I think Pies at Dunskies. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Lions got to win in Melbourne, but I
This is hard.
Yeah, I think it's hard. It should be a competitive game. Maybe Lions by B's dick.
All right, we'll go 1 point. St Kilda, Geelong. Geelong's winning.
Ooh,
Oh, showdown.
Crom haven't been that bad in the last couple of
Well,
weeks.
Crom did. We didn't actually talk about it because it's the most recent game, but the Crom did the Blues a huge favour by beating Bulldogs this afternoon. I think Port wins that next week. Mm-hmm. Western Bulldogs against North Melbourne. I think Western Bulldogs by a fair bit.
Yep.
Hawthorn, Richmond
Hawthorn.
by a fair bit.
Yeah.
You'd say.
Tigers get the spoon.
Carlton, I'm fucking nervous about
West Coast.
We were just talking about a coach playing for possibly a full-time contract next season.
Yeah.
We were also talking earlier in the show about how fucking hard it is to travel across the
West.
Nullarbor, regardless of whether that's an AFL team or a potential rugby league team. Mm-hmm. I'm a Carlton man. They're a better team on paper. I'm going to go Carlton.
Yeah, I think Blues should win, but this could be an upset. But for the sake of this, pick the Blues.
I also know if I pick West Coast, they may finish outside of the 8 in this predictor. Lions at home against Bombers, I agree. Carlton at home against St Kilda.
Go.
Again, I'm not confident. Geelong at home, fair bit. Hawthorn at home. Melbourne, Collingwood.
Close.
I don't think.
Pies.
Let's go Pies for the sake of this. See how close they go. Gold Coast travelling. They've proven they've done it. It's against Richmond.
They should beat Richmond. Hardwick will be up for this. So yeah.
Swans at home against Crom.
Yeah, I think Swans.
This is huge.
That's a massive game.
Yeah, Western Bulldogs, GWS, Sunday week.
GWS.
Okay. Fuck, we're still going. Freo Port in Perth.
In Perth. Ooh, I'm going to go Dockers.
That is that. So we saw the enormity of those last few
Yeah,
games.
well, that last one, they changed it. Yeah, that moved Dockers in at 8th spot.
So our ladder has just finished Sydney, Geelong, GWS, Brisbane, Port, Hawthorn, Carlton, Freo, with Bulldogs, Collingwood, Gold Coast, Essendon missing out. Freo went into the 8 on the last
Bumping
tip
out the
and
Doggers.
bumped out the Bulldogs, who we had losing to GWS. So the unofficial round of finals starts in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of teams on that fringe that can't afford to lose next week.
No.
Carlton,
Most teams have to win out from here.
yeah, essentially, if you're not top 4 at the moment, it's you
You're worried.
want to be winning both games, and you don't want to be getting spanked like we saw.
Yeah.
If it comes down to percentage points, Carlton did themselves a disservice today, losing as heavily as they did.
Well, I think also for the Lions, like we talk about their credibility in Melbourne, but for them finishing 4th is also huge because, I guess it gets them an opportunity, but maybe gets them
A second chance.
But gets you to play at the Gabba potentially.
The other thing I am worried about some of these Melbourne teams finishing possibly in 8th or 7th. Good chance you have to go to the Adelaide Oval or the Gabba or something to win an elimination final. You might have to go over to Optus to beat.
Yeah, well, the
beat
Dogs
Freo.
would have to play Adelaide in that regard at home. So, yeah, that'd be a challenge.
I tell you what, the topsy-turvy nature of it has made it impossible to tip and impossible to punt over the last month and a bit.
Yep,
but it has made it one of the most entertaining runs into finals that I can remember in recent memory. And you just don't know week in, week out. You don't know which Swans are going to rock up.
Well, you think there might be a Sydney flavour. You just don't know which Sydney side it's going to be.
GWS quietly going along their business.
Yeah. We haven't finished in 3rd there.
Yes, we did. And I did have the premiership odds. The Swans are somehow still favourites. I guess, all the work they've done in the front end of the season. And
Getting
the fact
a win
that
might help.
The fact that they still are on top of the ladder at the moment. They are $4.33. Brisbane are $4.50. GWS 6. Geelong 8.
Catter's not getting any love.
Port Adelaide 9. Western Bulldogs 9. Hawthorn into 12. That's an incredible run. Carlton down to 21, Freo down to 21, and then it's triple figure odds from the Pies down.
Yep. Which is, besides, I guess, the Lions being higher on that list, that's almost the 8 we had.
Yeah, it's pretty that's pretty close to it.
Yeah, so it's
fun.
Definitely fun.
I think the Pies fans will be ruining those 2 draws as well that they've suffered, including the one on Anzac Day. May who knows, the Bombers may be able to get one win. I just don't see them winning. But they're not
enough.
They're not going to beat Sydney and Brisbane. You wouldn't think.
No, they've got a very tough run.
All right, we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. Go Blues! Hopefully, we get Cripper showing up in his home state and making a statement, and maybe stealing a Brownlow perhaps as well.
Yep.
All right, let's go over to America. We're pretty close to the start of the NFL season.
Oh, he broke his ankles.
Yeah, well, it's week 1 officially of preseason. We had the Hall of Fame game last week. So the last 2 games, I think, are this morning our time, with Denver being one of them taking on Indy. And I don't remember what the second one is because I was only caring about the Denver game.
And it's preseason.
Yeah, and it's also preseason. What's interesting so far from preseason is probably the kickoff rules. So it's our first look at the new kickoff rules. No touchdowns, kick returns so far from that. It's interesting. It's been kind of not back and forth, but we've been getting, I guess, a bit more open play, as you will, which I guess was the idea. So we'll see how that plays out. No big injuries, of course, which was the big thing that they wanted to make it more of a more of an interesting play, but also limit the amount of injuries possible for that. I think it's been interesting. Steelers country. There. Fields didn't have a great first game. He took multiple sacks, fumbled twice, and threw an intercept. So hopefully he did start with the ones, which I thought was interesting. And Wilson, I don't think, played in that game. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out.
How do you think that will play out? Will that be it's Russ's
to
job?
To me, it feels like they were protecting Russ, so he's most likely going to start the season for them. But Fields long-term has the more talent for him. But I kind of think it's like wait and see. It's like we'll see what we do this year with these guys and then maybe reset. But I think talent-wise, they got more talent than they did with
Trubisky and Pickett.
Pickett is what I was thinking of back there last year.
Their official depth chart has Danger Russ starting with Fields as the backup. My feeling is it might be a sort of play a month and see. And the way that Russ was playing last year,
he wasn't doing too bad.
Yeah, much better than the first year.
Definitely.
What else have you seen out of preseason?
So I think the rookies have also been pretty interesting, especially the rookie quarterbacks. We saw our first look at Caleb Williams doing some, Mahomes shit, as you will, rolling out and hitting targets. So he's looked pretty good, looked pretty solid. Jalen Daniels looked good as well. He threw a deep ball. His first completion was a deep ball. Scored a rushing touchdown as well. So, if you're looking for some value late in your fantasy drafts, Jalen Daniels says hello. JJ McCarthy, who by all accounts will be the backup for the Vikings, threw a 45-yard strike down the left side.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading here in this article.
People were saying, does he have the arm talent? He hasn't really shown that at Michigan. He's definitely got that a capability, and I really liked JJ coming out. So I think they're probably going to start with Sam Darnold, but again, it might be not for long, and JJ McCarthy might take over his spot. So they were some of the rookies that were a bit hot starts in their first preseason game.
ESPN.com says, look out, JJ McCarthy hype meter is about to go into overdrive.
Yeah.
Rookie quarterback threw a pair of long third quarter touchdowns, 45-yarder and a 33-yarder. Yeah. He did throw an intercept to finish his first possession.
I think he was 112 or something QB rating, so he had a good game. The other quarterbacks, so Drake May for Patriots, he only got 4 chances, didn't really get it going. And then, of course, there was all the hype about Joe Milton and his rocket for a touchdown and then his running capability. But I think we kind of knew that he's got a very similar profile to Anthony Richardson. And I'm pretty sure I talked about in our draft show that they're very comparable as athletes, and he statistically was better at in college, but the big difference is speed. He ran a high 4.6, whereas Richardson was a wild 4.4. So, but if you look at the way they play, the styles they played, Milton was very much a one side of the field kind of quarterback. So, he needs growth in the Patriots area, but, dominating against second stringers in preseason is a good way to start building some hype for you there.
Have the Patriots got the most interesting quarterback battle, do you think, out of any club with Brissett, May, Milton, and don't forget Bailey Zappi, who started a lot of games.
They've got a lot of guys that could potentially have started, and the young rookies that come in there, they probably will only keep 2, maybe 3 at most. But by all accounts, Jacobs probably might start as a veteran, but this is where Milton needs to push his thing, and maybe because Drake's going to be there. It's just whether he starts early or they give him to buy essentially, and then he gets in there depending how New England does. Likelihood probably not great, but we'll see how they progress.
Hey mate, a rebuild's got to start somewhere. Also, teams never carry 4 quarterbacks, so one of these guys is getting
two usually, 3 at most, or 2 in a practice squad guy. So we'll see how they go.
It's cutthroat, isn't it?
Yeah. Also been some rumours about TB12 again. He's actually an owner of the Raiders, so he's been in and around the Raiders a lot lately. They also do need a quarterback. See if Seth from Toy Story gets the starting gig there, or whether Minshew takes it over. Penix, also very solid for Falcons. He's not going to play unless Cousins get injured. And Bo Nix being the last quarterback, he plays tonight.
Keen eye on that one.
Yeah, I'll have a keen eye on that one. Of course, we've got Zach Wilson and Stidham as well, so we've got a pretty interesting QB competition too. Denver. So we'll see how that plays out for them. And I guess the only final news was Brian Ayuk and his potential trade. It looks like Browns and the Patriots had trades basically confirmed for him, which pretty wild trades that it was picks and players. So the Patriots would trade picks and Kendrick Bourne to 49ers, and then the Browns would trade Cooper and picks for Brandon. In both instances, Ayuk, because he has to agree to the deal because he's going to have to sign a long-term contract wherever he gets traded, and he shot down both deals. He didn't pick either. So they've kind of gone back to him about extending. So, will he, won't he be with the 49ers is an interesting way we're going.
He had a breakout year last year. Like, he's been good since he's come into the league, but last year was like obviously the first year where, he's really taken that wide receiver 1 role away from Debo. I'm just trying to find some numbers for him last year, see what his
over 1,000.
His bargaining 65 chips will be like. 75 receptions, 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns. Pretty impressive. And
he's their wide receiver 1, really. Don't say Debo's a gadget guy, but he does a lot more.
He's a Swiss Army knife
exactly.
type operator.
Yeah.
You watching any of Receiver on Netflix? I
haven't yet. I definitely want to get into it, though. Justin Jefferson is a very interesting character on that, and by all accounts, and I want to see a bit more of...
Mate, all of them.
Yeah.
Devontae is a bit more diva than what I had expected, I think.
Being a Packers fan?
Obviously very frustrated with how I think, especially the first half of the season played out last year at the Raiders. Kittle, exactly like you'd expect probably. Just fun-loving, always cracking jokes, but obviously tough as fuck. It's pretty cool. I watched it with the wife for about 3 episodes in. It's taken a back seat, obviously, with the Olympics.
Stuff. There's a pretty interesting question there about an overseas NFL team, like a new franchise. I don't think the NFL is kind of looking at expansion, and I kind of feel like they don't want to get new franchises because of course you'll share the pot with all the billion-dollar owners. But they're definitely looking to grow internationally.
Yeah.
We talked about they're bringing the game to Australia. There's pushing more deeper into Europe and all over Europe, and of course into South America,
Brazil, Mexico.
So I don't think there's going to be a likelihood for a new team to join the NFL that's based internationally. Will there be a G League? I think the XFL at the moment?
Yep.
Kind of fits where that is, but
it's not affiliated.
But it is not affiliated, but it kind of it fits in the right.
Yeah, we've seen a few people do well in the XFL to get themselves a contract.
But whether they also want to try to grow the international pathways. Not sure. I'm kind of interested to see where the flag football for the Olympics, thinking about Olympics in that theme, actually grows some of that in more international game. Everyone's been joking about, the US team's got to dominate with Mahomes throwing to Jefferson in the Olympics.
I don't think any of those guys have been playing flag football.
No, I don't think so either. It'd be very interesting to see what that kind of team makeup is, but I don't think there's any plans for that. I think at the moment it's just take the established franchise, grow the game internationally as much as possible to try and get some more that viewership essentially and the marketability in there. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of international flavour now growing into the NFL, so we have to see.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Don't see it happening at all, really. Not as part of the official NFL, but possibly we did see NFL Europe, and it sort of fizzed out a few years ago. Maybe if they wanted to capture more of that European market, maybe trying to get a 6-team comp up and running for guys, sort of on the precipice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree 100%. I think the way that they'll continue to grow is just by having those international fixtures, which sell out, months and months in advance, essentially when they announce them, and continue to garner international interest. Obviously, a couple of Aussies here speaking about this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, and I wonder if the college side of that might also be a pathway for growth, especially same thing, college games going international and playing. Like for example here in Australia, etc. Whether that is potential growth as well. Just building the sport of gridiron internationally, I think is where they're trying to get to. But back to the NFL, back to preseason stuff. I think it's really interesting, especially as we roll into fantasy time. The rookies, there's some really interesting rookie talents. There's some, and I say really interesting positions for rookies where they have potential playing capability. Be able to get bulk snaps this year. That it's quite interesting to how the implications of fantasy. Some guys going really early, some guys going late that potentially have. Could be winning your league sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm quite interested to see how the next 2 and a bit weeks plays out. Actually, 3 weeks of preseason before we get the first games in September.
Any rooks in particular that you're really looking forward to seeing, slash having immediate impact?
Well, I think I thought Eric Gray for the Giants had a really good game, scored 2 touchdowns, got caught all the passes. But there's Devin Singletary is the only named back in that team, who's also a veteran guy. He's been there and thereabouts, but he's not your typical bell cow back. So Devin's looking like he might get 300 touches, but a young rookie just blows up out of nowhere and takes over. So
and they've got a Saquon size hole to fill in that backfield.
Correct. So that, for example, is a great guy to be sort of targeting in the late hundreds of picks for your draft. Just 10 round plus.
Just bringing up the Giants depth chart at the moment because they've had all kinds of issues at receiver over the last few years. Do you think Malik Neighbours can go out there and
that's why Malik's
be a 1,000-yard receiver this year?
Yeah, well, they're projecting 130 plus targets for Neighbours, and with that will come over 1,000 yards easy. Will he get touchdowns? Will be the question mark for the Giants. This Giants team, maybe not the best. And, we have to see what Daniel Jones is like this season, because he was banged up and missed a lot of last. But there's, the pathways of volume is there, and that's why he's going in this second round, really, in people's drafts. And, some people are saying his position, his value might be better than Harrison, who's also going really early. Both those guys, I think, will be fine, and they're in good positions. Compared to Rome, who's, he's got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore ahead of him. So he's
exactly.
He's got to have a much smaller share of that target share when those guys are going to get bulk volume. So
I was having a look at some numbers from last year as well. I kind of forgotten how good a year DJ Moore had as well. So,
great year.
From immediate fantasy impact, Rome possibly a little bit further behind. What about Brock Bowers?
Yeah, well, the interesting is they got Michael Myers there as well. But outside of Adams, who are you throwing the football to?
And we've seen...
Because they got White now playing running back, so he's not really a back that catches much. So, whether they're going to be running a lot of two tight end sets and throwing out of that and having big Zamir White, who's a huge running back, by the way. There, it's interesting they got Minshew there. Death charts at this time of year doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's interesting to see that he's ahead of Aidan O'Connell.
I think Brock Bowers is one to watch, especially how NFL ready we've seen some of the tight ends coming out.
Maya had a great back half of the season.
There's no slouch.
So the concern is that if they take things away from us, but they could end up just playing Bowers as like a slot wide receiver realistically. So he could be filling in that role. So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting guys floating in that space.
Xavier Worthy. Catching passes from Mahomes.
Well, actually,
fast as fuck, boy.
That was my other note there. The biggest injury so far from preseason is Hollywood Brown. Do you want to look at, because I have no idea what this injury is, but they're saying he's had some type of dislocation and he's in hospital.
Okay, Hollywood Brown injury.
See if you've got a. So that's
Andy Reid.
See what Andy Reid says on that. So that's a big one because the Chiefs did lose this preseason game, I believe. But
was it shoulder dislocation? Shoulder ailment. That helps. Sternoclavicular. So it was. Yeah. So who was it we're talking about? We're talking about Michael Penix. So it is in the shoulder complex, you could say. Not really. Where your collarbone meets your sternum.
Yeah.
So it's like the opposite of your AC. It's
okay. Yeah.
So your AC is up at this end, and then the SC is down at the other end. Probably a painful injury, but not a whole lot of mobility there. They could probably. I'm also just reading this.
It happened today, so
I can imagine they probably could needle it up and hopefully be okay for round one. But I'd need to read into it a bit more.
Yeah, but go back to your question. By all counts, Worthy's been doing really well as that kind of deep threat in training camp. Just so much speed, blowing past everyone. And with Rice potentially still dealing with these legal issues, may or may not be suspended, or that legal issue may happen after the season, who knows? And then, Brown with a niggle now going into the season. We'll have to see how bad this injury is for him and, whether Worthy can, fast track his way into, a wide receiver 2 kind of spot or even further and, be a favourite of Mahomes early on and get a little ball.
Looks like he dislocated his sternoclavicular joint, which is quite a rare injury. Tyreek Hill apparently did it back in 2019, missed 4 regular season games.
So, maybe say he misses months, he'll miss week 1. But, then see how he goes post that.
We will definitely be doing a big fantasy football talk on the next ep, leading into everyone's drafts, which should probably be end of this month, early September. NFL season is just around the corner. Let's fucking go.
Yes, very excited.
All right, let's wrap this thing up with the On The Esky funnel round. Not heaps to cover in terms of volume for this final round, but one huge event, particularly
really snuck up on us, honestly.
Particularly for Aussies and particularly for Aussie fight fans. UFC 305, and a bit of a Perth-centric episode, this one, isn't it?
Yep.
We'll see. Dricus du Plessis.
New sports capital of Australia.
Yeah, apparently. Fighting Israel Adesanya.
Well, it's in the perfect, I think, sort of time zone for
the
UFC.
Perfect time zone. I suppose it's that touch a little bit closer. Probably makes it a little bit easier than the East Coast kind of stuff.
Correct.
Well,
listen, hopefully the fights won't be at 3 a.m. in the morning like they were for Edwards.
True that. Middleweight, Dricus going to take on Israel Adesanya. Obviously, all the shit talk that happened a few months ago now with Israel. Calling Dricus a word that I won't repeat a whole lot.
Well, I think it might even be like 16 months ago.
I think it was last year,
It was definitely last year because Israel's retired since then and then come back out of retirement. So
it's a bit cringy, I thought.
It'll be, and of course having that loss to Strickland and he's gone away. Hopefully he's reassessed his game. Hopefully he's maybe a little bit more aggressive in this. It'll be interesting to see how du Plessis does up against Israel. But it should be a nice, good, competitive fight, and I think it's a great fight to have at the top of a pay-per-view fight card, and especially in Perth. Get the Kiwi boys across, and there's a big Kiwi Australia flavour in this card, top to bottom.
Well, the other people that makes Perth's such an ideal venue. A lot of South Africans that
Yep.
live in Perth as well.
True,
and for
true.
South Africans travelling, it's obviously the closest place for them to go. I just wanted to recap middleweight because it's been a little bit all over the shop over the last 2 years. So Dreykus has been the champ for 200 days now since he beat Strickland, which was at UFC 297. Strickland beat Izzy. That was the one in Sydney, 293 last year. And then
retired after that.
Izzy had the retirement after, and that was Poatan beat him. And then Izzy
got it back.
obviously held it for
Ages.
before then, where he had 5 defences: Romero, Costa, Vittori, Whitaker, Cannonier. So definitely a fun division, a division that it's been dominated by the style bender up until 2022, and then we've had revolving door of champions since. How do you see it playing out?
Tough to say. Israel was very gun shy against Strickland, and Strickland's got a odd style, so hopefully he's a bit more aggressive in this. But being aggressive maybe plays into Duplessis' kind of, he'll be the bigger power punch striker in this. I think overall, Izzy's a better striker.
Yep, I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
It's just whether he can capitalise on that and also not rack up points to win rounds, but have be the one that's firing and landing more consistently. So I think Izzy can probably steal it back, and then maybe go fight Pereira at light heavyweight for shits and giggles.
Do you think Dreykus's power could be a problem if he is to connect?
Potentially, and we haven't really seen. Well, I guess outside of Pereira, really struggled Izzy with power, but that guy's a freak. He's a heavyweight.
He's the most powerful man in the world, essentially.
Yeah, he's heavyweight fighting in middleweight. So Duplessis is more of a comparable guy, and you didn't really see him struggle with Romero, but they didn't engage. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards Izzy maybe getting the belt back, but Duplessis has been pretty good, and I felt like maybe Strickland won that fight, but he got the nod in that regard. I don't know. The style's an odd kind of
it's hard. It's hard one to match up, but they always are with Izzy.
Yeah.
I'll lean just towards Dreykus in that we haven't seen him lose for
a long time.
Yeah, since he's been in the UFC.
Yeah.
Whereas Izzy does have that chink in the armour, albeit 5-time title defences, and the striking capability, particularly the ability to kick, could certainly be an issue. But I'll say Dreykus. Let me get us some odds, actually. We'll talk about Kaikara France versus Steve Ursek first. Feels like
Battle
that.
of the Anzacs.
Yeah, well, feels like that Ursek fight was not that long ago. How long was that off the top of your head? 3 months?
3-4 months, yeah. It was this year.
May.
Yeah.
It's May to August, 4 months.
4 months.
Pantoja. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep.
He was good in that fight.
He was very good in that
Yeah.
fight. Yeah. I think we talked about it. He didn't push the pace well enough late in the later rounds to kind of really take it out of the judge's hand. We'll put it more in his hands for a win from the judges. But
like, given the circumstances leading into that, like taking it on short notice, being ranked, what was he, 9th or something?
yeah, being very much an unknown guy. So,
yeah. And then taking him on in Brazil.
Yep.
I think he can definitely go into this fight with a fair bit of confidence, the way that he handled himself there.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what Kai's recent record's been as well, because he's kind of been floating in this division for a lot longer and more of a well-known name than Steve was. But whether he, again, it's toss of the coin for these guys. They're both very good in the flyweight division and really flying the flag well for us. So
the thing
I'm very
that
interested to see how they go.
Urseg has going for him is
Brandon Moreira, that was a big push for the interim there. So
Urseg only has a Pantoja loss, and then before that wins, whereas Kaikara's coming off two 2-loss slide, and his recent record, he's 4-4 in his last
But two of those
eight
against
fights.
Brandon Morero.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he held the belt.
And like he's been like gatekeeper kind
He's been high in the rankings. He just needs a really statement fight to push himself into a title fight. So,
I always like the flyweight fights. There's always so much speed, and find them pretty. Generally speaking, pretty entertaining.
exactly. Maybe less on the power side, but
Of course.
definitely they make up for it in the pace and the speed.
Bookies are interesting here. The Dreykus Israel odds don't really surprise me, but Steve Verseg is a big favourite. So the odds, courtesy of Sportsbet, Dreykus, the incumbent, $2.14 against Izzy $1.70. And then
Steve's a big favourite.
yeah, Steve Verseg's actually way shorter than what I thought. $1.42 against Kaikara France, $2.90. So he's a WA boy as well. So we'll have the majority of that crowd pumping and egging him on. Old Astro boy. He does have a 4-inch reach advantage, 4-inch height advantage, I should say too. So maybe that little bit of extra size might help him. And then what else we got on here? Dan the Hangman Hooker.
Taking on Gamrot, which is I think
Scary.
a big I don't want to say step up for Hooker's fought the who's who, but where his rankings is at the moment, they're like it's going to be a challenge for him. And Gamrot, they both lost to Dustin essentially. That was his last loss for Gamrot. So it'd be interesting to see, because he kind of said he had staph coming off that staph infection, and that's why he didn't perform as well, I believe, if I've got the right Gamrot.
A lot of them do get.
No, I've got the wrong Gamrot. This is a different one.
This Gamrot, his last 3 fights, wins against RDA,
Must be coming up.
Fizev, and
Lightweight.
Jalen Turner.
Lightweight, sorry.
But he's big favourite in this one, $1.37. Then the Hangman Hooker, $3.10. Hooker hasn't fought since that nasty forearm fracture, I don't think, has he?
Yes,
You
that's
know,
about
remember when
right.
he fucked up his forearm?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's his last fight, which I feel like was also a while ago. Dan the Hangman Hooker,
Beat Turner, and that was middle last year.
middle of last
12
year.
months later for him.
That's definitely when he broke his forearm. So he's had over a year to recover from that. So that's ample time, you'd think, after that forearm fracture.
Then we've got Rosenstrike taking on Shui Vasa. Rosenstrike is the favourite in that. That'll just be bazookas thrown, kind of flying back and forth, and see who lands in round one, and that'll be the winner of that for sure.
Shui's pretty long odds there, $2.50.
Yeah, he's been on a bit of a slide as well.
Yeah, he has been. Is it 3 fights? 4. Yeah.
But all massive
Yeah,
names.
big names. Sarah Gunn, like, is pretty close to the.
Yeah, win that and you're fighting for the title.
Exactly,
You
pretty
might, he Gunn then went on and fought John Jones. So, yeah, you're definitely in that conversation. So.
And then losses since then to Pavlovich, Volkov, Tybura. Really need a win here for big Shui Vasa. Rosenstrike's a scary man, but also does have plenty of losses in his career. Let's have a look.
Correct. Yeah, it's the nature of the heavyweight division.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. He's 36, old big boy from Suriname. He's very beatable. But again, looking at some of those,
win loss.
yeah, looking at some of the guys that have beaten him,
Yeah.
Ngannou, Gain, Blades, Volkov, Almeida. There's some pretty big names.
Yep. So that'll be fun. And I'm not sure the last fight on the main card as well.
Li
Welterweight?
Jing Liang versus
Lee,
Carlos
actually,
Paredes.
I do know who Lee is. Famously the suit man. He wore a suit, weighed in for the fight, and then the fight got canned on him. So
Okay.
I don't think has he been on layoff? Yes, he has.
Yeah, hasn't fought for close to 2 years.
So I think that fight was last year and it didn't go ahead. So it was booked and didn't happen. He's been off lately. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. And then who's the guy he's fighting?
Yeah, I've
Definitely haven't heard of
Carlos Paredes
It
at
doesn't have it
welterweight.
on Wikipedia. So there you go.
Never heard of him.
Maybe an Aussie.
Speaking of Aussies, Casey O'Neill's on the undercard. Junior Tougher on the undercard. So the big few Aussies there to watch.
Yes.
That kicks off, in a week's time.
Week's time. Yeah.
Let's go. This is interesting in the comments. Thank you for your comment here, Genwill Bolandras. Speaking of competitive fights, you see how Logan Paul said he wants to win a gold in the Olympics. We were talking about this.
Yeah, it was also Jake Paul. So,
pre-show, it was Jake.
It's Jake. Jake's the one doing the predominantly doing the boxing at the moment, with Logan being the wrestling guy. But also, don't care. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You got that wrong, because also no one really cares about the Paul brothers.
Well, I would argue the contrary. I would say lots of people care about the Paul brothers.
Yeah. The Mavericks and Low Gang, etc.
He is 27, so he'll be 31. How's this all work? Because you need to be an amateur boxer. He obviously needs to be competing under...
Well, that was my question. It was like, how would he legitimately get in there? I guess you could say he's pro fighter gimmick fights, that maybe he's actually still an amateur. So... like my point is, like, he could say my pro fights, I've only really had one pro fight, and it was against Tommy Fury. The other ones are all gimmicks, if you get my point. But they're all listed as on his professional record. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he still had to be an amateur. So I don't think he will be able to do this, but he has said he wants the US to win a gold medal. So he put his hand up that I could compete. But well, let's see.
I did see this as well. So thanks in the comments. Boxing's not confirmed in for LA just yet.
Lots of controversy.
Yeah, like
I would think so.
Like an original Olympic sport, just about.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Watch this space. I know if there's anything that Jake...
Well, they've got most of the other martial arts already in there as well. You think about it, like judo and wrestling as well. No jiu-jitsu, of course. It's got its own world championships, but whether they should add that. But I think any of the... I'd rather you draw... Do they still have Taekwondo? Or they did...
Taekwondo, yeah. Yeah, Taekwondo. I'm pretty sure Taekwondo's still in there.
Yeah. If any, I'd drop that one and keep boxing in there, because it's one of the main martial arts that have been less favoured in the mixed martial arts space recently. That not a lot of one does Taekwondo and is successful in any of the mixed martial arts.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to go off an MMA.
I know
basis.
Yeah, I'm just going that. Well, there's a lot more success with boxers, judo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, etc.
Jiu-jitsu is the massive one, isn't it?
The massive one missing out of that list, but it's also a very hard one to appreciate unless you're an absolute hardcore jiu-jitsu.
It can be quite boring. I think.
Yeah.
Taekwondo was at this Olympics, 4 events across the men, 4 across the ladies. Medals to South Korea, Uzbekistan, Tunisia, Thailand, Hungary, France. I prefer parkour over breaking. Yeah. Well, we started the show with old Ray Gunn. We might have to give Ray Gunn a little shout out towards the end as well. Just give her a point and a half. Come on, man. I just can't believe donuts. It's so disrespectful.
Yeah, true that.
She wrote a fucking thesis on it. Man. Any UFC news upcoming?
So Whittaker got his fight rebooked with Hamzat. So that's upcoming. In I think that's 308 or 9. So that's been rebooked. And then Ilya Tupura has been booked against Holloway, and that's for 308. And 306, I think, is the Holloway fight. So that's the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's soon.
No,
they're both on 308.
So that's a 308. So it's a big card.
Yeah.
So that's looking quite interesting and quite tasty coming up.
Any F1 news?
Not a lot. They're in the summer break. They'll be back in 2 weeks. The thing I wanted to kind of highlight was Jack Doohan. A bit of rumours that he might get the Alpine seat and be next to Gasly, with Carlos Sainz signing with Williams. It was probably the big news and the big move. And with Ricciardo and Perez they've all agreed to stay put and reevaluate for 2025. The hope, fingers crossed here, 3 Australians on the grid. Get Ricciardo, Oscar and Doohan on the grid for the Aussies next year. So we'll Newey to Aston Martin. Yeah, that was also confirmed while we were away as well. So Adrian Newey going to the Aston Martin's guys and see if they can regain some form, because they've been middle of the pack this year.
How long ago did we talk about Piastri and Hungary?
Winning past, we might not have.
We're talking about it.
No, that
happened the night
after our last podcast. Yeah, and it was unfortunate the way that played out with Lando kind of allowed to undercut him because they allowed that on the pitch strategies, and Lando kind of left it late. Said he would always do it, but then there was a lot of radio going back and forth. Will you give the position back?
Yeah, can you explain it to me as a casual in sort of non-F1 terms as to how this happens?
Because you get such a significant advantage with new tyres. New tyres mean you're faster, so you get a lot more speed. So your lap times is a lot less. So the idea is with the pitting early, he undercuts you, and he runs. He gets maybe a few laps on new tyres before you do. So when you pit on old tyres, you've lost 10, 12 seconds. So which is essentially what happened, and Oscar came out maybe 3 seconds behind Lando from memory in this, and then Oscar with those new tyres, couldn't close the distance to Lando. But he only got that position because McLaren allowed him to undercut him. So if they'd actually done the good strategy here, and they really didn't need to cover, because they were trying to cover Hamilton coming through, who finished third, I think, in this in the end. But well back. They didn't need to do it. So Lando could have pit second. Oscar could have pit first, had the advantage, and he would have been, say, 20 seconds down the road. Lando doesn't get a sniff of him. So, it was just the way that the strategy played out for the position through the pits. Usually within teams, they play it above board, and if they're giving you an advantage, you give the position back because you haven't.
You're playing the team strategy
exactly, but you haven't won the position on the track as well.
Okay,
and you've also won it through us as our team giving you the advantage in the strategy.
So follow team orders and give the position back.
Exactly.
To me, as a non-F1 fan, this really looks like Dad's fucked up and there's two brothers, and one of the brothers has had to give his toy back to the other brother.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the way I was sort of...
Yeah, and I feel like McLaren fucked it up in their strategy. Okay. They probably didn't need to pit Lando first and put him in this position. If they pitted Oscar first, we don't talk about it. Oscar goes on to win. He's made an F1, and everyone's talking about how awesome that is. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I think Oscar's really come on strong in the last couple of races. See how he goes post summer break, but I kind of feel like maybe he's driver one in that team going forward. Like he's a new kid on the block though. It's his only second season, but he's doing great things, and he seems to be the guy that's then pushing the Red Bulls and Mercedes really jump back. He's the guy that seems to be pushing it. And Lando, yes, he's been getting poles, but I don't know. There's been things that are going on where he's just been making mistakes, and then Oscar's been capitalising on. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But Max is probably going to win the championship. He's very far in front.
Yeah, and they resume in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think people are talking about, because Lewis has won 2 races in the last 4 as well, that if Lewis wins the rest of the races and Max finishes like 8th or worse in all of them, he'll be world champion. But it was likely...
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance, yeah. But Max is going to win the championship. The construction's very interesting because Perez has been really struggling. He started, I think, 2nd in that race and finished 8th. He just went backwards. Like, he can't keep the pace up. So... we
were talking about it last pod.
7th because George got DQ'd because he actually won the last race, but his car was a bit light.
So going back over the last few months of racing, this is Perez's results: 7, 7, 17th.
Look at his start of the year.
7, 8, retired, and then before that, and then 8th there. Before that, it was 5th or better, and 1, 2, 3, 4 podiums. In the first 6 weeks. So
I'm pretty sure he signed his new contract like right here as well. So
got that money and turned to shit.
Yeah. So, there's a bit of buyer's remorse there for the Red Bull team at the moment, and that was the talk about Ricciardo's going to walk into that spot. Perez is gone, and Liam Lawson will take Ricciardo's spot at Visa Cash App, because Ricciardo's been pretty good in recent form, scoring some points. And, has out-qualified Yuki in a lot of them, but had poorer strategy to Yuki in a lot of the last races. So, yeah, but he's still floating there. I think he's been competitive.
They resume in the Netherlands 2 weeks' time. So watch this space. The Olympics shall finish. Paralympics will roll straight into it.
Yeah, 2 weeks as well.
Footy finals, we'll be talking about that next pod. The EPL is about to kick off. We saw Man City and Man United go to Pens last night for the Community Shield. But yeah, it's going to be nearly September next pod, which means footy finals, NFL, a really fun part of the year. That is for sure. Good luck to all the Aussies competing tonight. I don't think we're going to see another goal, although there is still some cycling on.
Some cycling. You never know. We went pretty close not that long ago.
They're pretty nuts, these races, like the Omnium. Like there's
Well, this is a 70-lap race when they're into 13
and look
to
how
go.
many bikes are out there. Like there's a big chance for anything to happen, including crashes and overtaking. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out.
Aussie Bird there is in third at the moment, but she's 40 points back on the leader.
Yeah, I got no idea how these points races work.
It's like stages where they get points where, for a certain stage, I believe. So where you finish is kind of where your points are. So you kind of ease off and then push for the last kind of laps, get it in, and then you're cycling again. And then.
So you watch Omnium racing week in, week
No,
out?
I don't. But it's a very similar process to how NASCAR runs. So.
Round and round in circles, baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
Thank you to those that have listened. If you are catching this podcast for the first time, chuck a subscribe on the YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this. We do have a Facebook and an Instagram. It is called On The Esky. We generally cover some Aussie sports. We cover the NFL, NBA, cricket, and whatever else the fuck is going on in the wide world of sports. And to wrap up the last 2 weeks, and Gold member said it the best, I love gold. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Shame me from my shelf.